Hey, what's up, everybody? And welcome back to Great Ace Attorney. Oh, I'm so excited. I love this game so far. Excited to see where it's going to take us next. All right, we are back in action. Twitch chat is here, alive and well. And for those of you joining on YouTube, welcome to you as well. Oh yeah, let's continue. Episode 4. Let's see how it goes.
I begin to think, Wilson, said Sholmes, turning his head languidly in my direction, that there is more to this case than that which we have observed. Indeed, that there may be another part to this story that we are yet to discover. His eyes wandered, following the steam rising from his cup of herbal tea, leading him to the distant memory of that snowy evening. To the young lady collapsed on the pavement along Briar Road, and to the knife in her back. Lit in the soft glow of gas lamps, a most extraordinary scene had been set. And under the cover of a light fog, the curtain had risen silently on the insoluble mystery of our invisible killer.
One thing I'm going to say about Great Ace Attorney so far is I love it. The one thing that I hope they do... Here's what I'm going to say one thing that I like and one thing that I don't like. I'll start with what I don't like. I wish they would do investigations in cases together, and I hope they start doing that. Second, what I do like, I feel like they're building up. I feel like the last 2 cases of this game, whatever those may be, are going to just be absolutely incredible. There's a lot of build up, which hopefully I'm sure it'll pay off, but like right now it's like, all right, it's very compelling stuff. Very compelling stuff. Hi, Suzato. Did you sleep last night, Mr. Naruhodo? No, not at all. It was an enormous hotel, wasn't it? The room's so luxurious, I felt like you were staying in a palace. With all the gas lights twinkling, it was brighter than day even in the middle of the night. What about the enormous beds? I had a hard time with the SS Buria. I wasn't going to waste a single inch of that space. Spent the entire night rolling from one side of the mattress to the other. Aw, she's so precious. Oh yes, it really was the sort of night you can only dream of normally. Except when I learned that we owed 3 pounds for the rooms, that dream quickly turned into a nightmare. Oops, sorry about that. The building was so impressive and the entrance was so inviting, I just wandered in without thinking. In a lodging house in Japan, that sum of money would put a roof over your head for a whole year. I did try, but I'm afraid I couldn't help my tears when we were presented with the bill. Aww. Oh, I really am sorry. Well, never mind. We must find some more affordable lodging straight away, though. If we're not careful, our entire stipend will be used up in 10 days or less. Ugh. London's a scary place. Ah, good morning to you in this early hour. Oh, yes, we are, well... Good morning to you, Lord Chief Justice. We have come to report on the outcome of the trial at the Old Bailey yesterday. This husband's amazing. Doesn't bat an eyelid even in the presence of the imposing Lord Strongheart. Yes, I believe you had a very comprehensive initiation into British courtroom practices. Oh, yes, it was very eye-opening, thank you. And in accordance with your instructions, Lord Strongheart, Mr. Naruhodo performed his duty to the end. Yes, I've already been appraised of events. You conducted a remarkable defense. You may consider the test passed. Oh, no longer are you a student from the Empire of Japan. You may henceforth claim to be a fully fledged lawyer. My country is delighted to welcome young talent from such a remote eastern land. Thank you very much. So I'm a lawyer now. Yo, what's up, Jams? We're working on SA2B practice today. For those that are watching the YouTube video that aren't familiar, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle is what we're talking about, speed running. Cityscape skip tips. The biggest thing, if you're just starting out, you don't have to worry about the skip, but if you're really focused on getting it, I would try to start establishing a visual cue. And when you unroll on the hill, when you unroll on the ramp itself, it's very tricky to do it, and even I haven't mastered it fully. Jams, if you want to talk more about it after the stream, I could definitely do like a Discord call with you, and we could go through it a little bit. But I would focus on a visual cue for where you seem to be getting it the most, and line it up with a car or a tree, is what I would suggest. I'll let you take it on at once. Oh, a new appointment. I think it said. I trust that won't be a problem. Another case already? Nothing trains a lawyer better than practical experience. I'm sure I don't sense dissatisfaction, do I? Just that yesterday's trial ended unusually. I haven't quite come to terms with it. What's to come to terms with? The man was cleared. What more were you hoping for? Dude, what if we're some, like, just some scapegoat to enable, like, some crazy, like, defenses to get away that definitely shouldn't? The culpability of the defendant has not at the present time been established by this court. Consequently, the jury will not be required to proffer judgment. Oh, Lord Van Zeeks, it's been a pleasure. So it has. As for you, my dear fellow, I couldn't have asked for a better defense. Oh, I do not like this snicker. I don't like this either. I just can't help wondering if Mr. McGilda really was innocent. Mr. Naruhodo, it's just that I never managed to ascertain the truth. And then the trial ended. Well, you needn't let it we needn't let it trouble you for a second longer. Sorry? What do you mean? Dude, did he die? Was he the one that died in the carriage with the fire? That's kind of what I was thinking. Magnus McGilda passed away immediately following the trial. Oh my gosh. No. What? Mr. McGilda is dead? There's some interesting dark stuff going on. I have 19 minutes and 41 seconds until my next game. Time enough to talk. I don't understand what happened. How could he be dead? After the trial concluded yesterday, there was a great commotion in the Old Bailey. As you presumably recall, an omnibus had been wheeled into the courtroom. Yes, of course. That was the scene of the crime which Mr. McGilda had been accused of. Not the ramp. What most runners would find helpful, Jams, would be the first, like, within the first third of the ramp. So it tends to work, but play around with it, because sometimes I notice if you go farther on, it works better. But it seems to be like once you get right onto it, it's usually pretty safe to go for it. Well, while the bailiff's attention was diverted by some other matter, the omnibus went up in flames. No! How could such a thing have happened? That is being investigated as we speak, but already... The police have identified a corpse found inside the charge cell of the carriage as Adam McGilda. That's awful. The man must have slipped inside while the bailiff's attention was elsewhere. The bailiff really needs to pay more attention. How could that have happened? That is also being investigated as we speak. Thinking back now, immediately after the trial, Mr. McGilda did mention going back into the courtroom to look at the omnibus. Yes, he did. The inspection. Sorry, what inspection? They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. As if I could be present for it myself. See, if he was asked for it, if he was asked to be there, it might be, was it something with the police department? Someone on the inside of the police? I don't think it's Van Zeeks. I don't think he's that kind of person. He doesn't seem like that kind of person. Not to my knowledge. I don't believe Scotland Yard had any intention of re-examining the carriage, but And who is Mr. McGill talking about? Never mind that now. The Yard is making a thorough investigation. Yeah. This guy is definitely involved in some stuff. This matter is no longer concerned. You just leave it to the police. I don't know. Lord Chief Justice is sus. I wasn't sure about him last episode. Now I'm positive that there's something weird going on. But maybe there's more to it than meets the eye. So, how did you find your first taste of our country's Supreme Court? Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, it was... wow. Mr. Naruhodo means that the whole experience was the solemnity of Great Britain's line. Let's go, Susato. Man, well, we would be so screwed without Susato. It's really a world apart from our own judicial system in Japan, which is only a few short decades old. Susato-san has such a way with words. You seem to have a way of failing to find the right ones. How does she read our mind like this? How does she read our mind like this so consistently? This system here is the most advanced in the world. Learn all you can. She must be able to read our face well. Most advanced in the world, is it? With some major flaws. There were several things that were quite sketchy about that. It was fortunate. Your very first trial was a simple affair. Simple? That was simple? As I believe I mentioned yesterday morning, it was a trial you couldn't lose. I don't mean to be contrary, Lord Schoenhardt, but the case was anything but simple. The circumstances of the case were so incriminating, I was stunned when I first heard them. In fact, I'm still finding it hard to believe that we managed to get a favorable verdict. Is something funny? No, my apologies. However, the fact is that you did receive the not guilty verdict you set out to achieve. I can only be attributed to exceptional talent. Wouldn't you agree? I don't know about that. Never mind. You exceeded my expectations, I freely admit. That much is at least an undeniable truth. Which is precisely why I prepared the new case for you that I mentioned before. What's going on? What was he going to say before? He's getting more sus and sus by the minute. Could you perhaps give us some more details about the new case you mentioned? Don't tell me it's a murder and the trial starts in 10 minutes. Don't worry, it's nothing so alarming or quite so urgent as your last assignment. In fact, this case is completely different. Oh, I see. Just read my mind? That is to say, no one has died as yet. The trial will not be today. There is plenty of time to research the case thoroughly. Oh, nice. My sadness. Oh, okay, we're gonna actually have like a full investigation and trial. Nice. There goes my one like weakness of the game. Is everything all right? Oh yes, I'm just a little confused, that's all. Yesterday's trial was, well, so I've been wondering if I'm really cut out for being a lawyer. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. I don't know if I could stand face down that courtroom again after Mr. McGilded's trial. Ah yes, I nearly forgot. There is one similarity with yesterday's case. Once again, there is currently no one to advocate for the defense. Oh, if the situation remains unchanged, the trial will start tomorrow with the defendant unrepresented. And if that happens, I need not remind you of the inevitable outcome. Most terrible end awaits the defendant. Yes, that's right. Ugh. Your time is up. You'll have to excuse me. I would advise you begin making preparations for tomorrow's trial. After all, the clock is ever ticking. There's now about 23 hours, 26 minutes, and 39 seconds until the court sits. Last time you mentioned 23 hours, you said there was plenty of time. And one more thing, Mr. Naruhodo. There is something I should like to ask you. Oh, what's that? Yesterday, you remarked upon something. You intend to see through the will of your late compatriot, Mr. Soji. I'd be interested to hear what exactly you mean by that. Inside 34 seconds. Well, Kazuma always used to say, you see, that he wanted to learn how the greatest justice system in the world works so he could change ours in Japan. And I just kind of like to work towards that myself. And there's another thing. Oh. Another thing. Continue. On the way here on the steamship, you said something to me. There's something very important that I have to do. Something very important? What exactly would that be? He never had a chance to tell me. I suppose he would have done if he'd ever made it to Great Britain. You're out of time. Well, thank you for an enlightening discussion. Sir, what's this all about? Mr. Soji never once mentioned anything of the sort to me. I urge you both to focus your attentions on the matter at hand. Take the liberty of summoning the police inspector in charge of the case. He'll be here to appraise you of the details. How long has he been there? Wait, I hope this is Mr. Wilson. Gosh, I hope that's Mr. Wilson. I wish you the best of luck and bid you farewell. Wait, is that fruit? Looks like French fries. Something very important that I have to do? Kazuma-sama, what did you mean? I wish I knew, but honestly, he never told me. Anyway, we had better talk to the detective. To that detective, don't you think? Sorry, can't speak. Yes, you're right. I wouldn't just imagine it, but I wouldn't say he looks pleased to see us at all. Must be the Lord Chief Justice's desk. I believe it's made of marble. Looks more like an over-the-top tombstone that's toppled over to me. I think that's your fanciful imagination at work again, Mr. Naruhodo. Really, everything that's normally made of wood and paper at home is made of bricks and stone here. I know. That's why this place feels so overbearing, I'm sure. Look at these benzene metal giants facing each other across the room. I believe they're suits of armor. Oh, right. Thought maybe they were like the lion dogs you have in Japan guarding shrine gates. No, not at all. In fact, in Europe, suits of armor like these are always possessed by evil spirits, you know? They roam around in the middle of the night? Really? Is there nothing you don't know, Miss Susato? This book tells me everything I need to know about everything. If you're ever unsure, just ask. Wow, that's an impressive book. Where'd you get that incredible tome? I hope you learn what it is. Oh, let's go, Haspar! Welcome, friend. I'm happy because this looks like to be a case where there's an investigation and a trial, which makes me happy. So I was a little worried the game wasn't going to have that. Let's look at all the naughty books packed all over these shelves. They go to the floor of the ceiling. And they're all books that you couldn't hope to come by in Japan. It's like a dream. Yes, a very bad dream. They're not all British law either. There are books about the judicial systems of other Western nations. France, Germany, Spain, Holland. What about Russia? Why do you ask? I was wondering about asking the Chief Justice how you say wardrobe in Russian. What do you think? I think perhaps it's a thought best abandoned. Jeez. Is this some kind of clock? Actually, I think we might be inside some sort of giant clock. Those gears are larger than anything you'd find on a steam locomotive even. It's eerie. You think clocks are some sort of hobby of his? Or Chief Justice, I mean? Well, boys do enjoy fiddling around with machines, don't they? I'm not sure you could fiddle with cogs that size, and I'm certain you couldn't call him a boy. Still, it's amazing how little noise the cogs makes considering how large they are. Actually, something quite soothing about their precise rhythm. Are those French fries? I hope those are French fries. Johan, you've said that like 6 times already since I've started playing this game. What do you think? I hope his name is Mr. Wilson. Oh, lovely weather, isn't it? What's the weather got to do with anything? Those have got to be French fries, right? Listen to me, you young Japanese upstart. I guess so. Some frippery about the weather doesn't get every English jet eaten out of your hand, you know. Mr. Sawasan told me it was foolproof. I'm a busy man, a very busy man. There's a crime scene to investigate, but I'm here having to get the likes that you were talking to. Oh, I'm ever so sorry. Can you imagine what the other officers there will be saying? haven't seen Gregson. Oh, it's Gregson. No, he's too busy with the big wigs these days. Well, because of some bumpkin who's here on a jaunt from a country I've never heard of. What is it? Hear that ribbon sound? That's my reputation in the yard going to tatters. We'll need to rip us apart as well. I don't believe we've been introduced. This is Mr. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, defense lawyer. Huh? Pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, Sue. Eh? It's lovely weather we're having today, isn't it? It is unseasonably fine, I grant you. London winters don't see a lot of sunshine. Unbelievable. How did she pull that off? So, Lord Strongheart has asked me to fill you in on the case. Name's Tobias Gregson. Oh, nice. Inspector Gregson to you. I'm from Scotland Yard. Gregson? Inspector Gregson? What's the matter with Suzato-san? Does this detective's name mean something to her? Inspector, are you perhaps the Inspector Gregson? You're acting like you know this man, Mrs. Suzato, but he's a London detective. Oh, I do know him very well, in fact. Very well? Yes, he features prominently in The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Oh, that publication, what's it called again? Rants Magazine? That's right. Inspector Gregson and Mr. Sholmes enjoy a wonderful friendly rivalry. You rival the great Mr. Sholmes? That's incredible. Well, I don't know about that. What the frick, XLR? This sus alert. Mr. Sholmes isn't a professional like myself, of course, but he does come up with the goods from time to time. Mr. Sholmes is equally complimentary about you, Inspector, isn't he? You've earned his highest praise. Gregson is the pick of a bad lot of all the Scotland Yard.
Girlfriend when you can just watch my stream.
Words.
Ali full of love redeemed compliments from Seraphim Neventi Shah.
Oh gosh! My light. It's her lights. Oh. It doesn't light up my wall anymore anyway. Ali, welcome back to the Sarah Squad. I hope you enjoy the 2 months. You're great. Enjoy the sub-edge and the emotes. A compliment. I'm just gonna say thank you for making me smile every time you're around. I really appreciate you. That's his highest praise? Well, Mr. Sholmes isn't particularly known for giving compliments, you see. That he is not. And thanks to that magazine, my name's known all over London town now. That's great, isn't it? I have to admit that to start with, I was a little, well, flattered by all the attention. I want to shake my hand. My reputation at the yard went through the roof. Dude, this game is going to make me start reading Sherlock Holmes novels. That's wonderful. No, it is not. There's nothing more sinister than the man on the street. People are always looking at me now. They're whispering rumors about me under their breath, I'm sure. Rumors? Are you quite sure? He's changed since he started appearing in those stories. Fame's gone to his head. Stuff like that. Gosh, you really think people are saying such mean-spirited things about you? Like I said, they whisper, so I can't catch exactly what they're saying, but I know what folks are like. I'm sure that's what they're saying. As sure as eggs is eggs. Get the feeling this detective could be very hard work. Oh dear, perhaps the sudden rise of fame does change people. So, about the case that the Lord Chief Justice mentioned before. Nothing to tell, really. As far as we're concerned to the yard, it couldn't be simpler. Oh dear, that probably means, as far as we're concerned as lawyers, it couldn't be more complicated. I wish you're wrong about that, but I have a nasty feeling you're right. A young woman was walking along the pavement on Briar Road when she was stabbed from behind. Fortunately, it wasn't fatal, but she's still laid up in the hospital unconscious. That's despicable! What sort of coward would attack the poor woman from behind? So you'd have finished whoever was out with the Suzato takedown, would you? That is neither here nor there, Mr. Naruhodo. You've angered her now. Silly. Anyway, after something of a whirlwind investigation, the criminal was arrested. Barely had time for a cup of tea after the incident took place, to be honest. So there must be something left at the scene that led you directly to the culprit? Or a reliable witness who recognized the person in question? Let me stop you right there. You're wasting your time on this one. Sorry? There's nothing you can do. There's no way to help the bloke now. Why ever not? Simple. The prosecutor that's decided the trial tomorrow is Lord Beric Van Zeeks. No! So, like, you've heard of him then? Oh, yes, we are very familiar with Lord Van Zeeks. Believed to be the harbinger of death itself. Reaper of the Bailey. Lord Beric Van Zeeks, who we faced in court yesterday. Mr. McGill had told us about him before the trial, didn't he? Van Zeeks sent to the prosecution. They call the accused sacrificial lambs. Every single trial in which he's been the prosecutor, the accused has been damned. And not with us! This Reaper of the Bailey nickname, I suppose he's earned it because every defendant he advocates is found guilty. Is that it? Well, if that's the case, we should inform you, Inspector, that in yesterday's trial against Lord Van Zeeks, Mr. Naruhodo secured a verdict of not guilty. Huh. What of it? Well, I think that means that even against Reaper of the Bailey, it's not impossible to save the defendant. No, you really don't have a clue, do you? What do you mean? What happened to that bloke in the end, eh? He's dead. Ah. Magnus McGill came a crupper in the omnibus when he went up in flames. You can't rightly say you saved the defendant, can you? What are you saying? Look, Van Zeeks could get the dirt to stick on everyone, he'd be a miracle worker. That's not how it goes. He doesn't work miracles, he works magic, black magic. I'd have a good long thing about that if I were you. You think Van Zeeks killed him? Really supposed to believe that? I don't feel like Van Zeeks is the kind of person that just murder people even if they're not guilty. Well, filling as requested, I'm very nearly out of chips. Oh, it's fries or chips, I guess. I'll be heading back to the crime scene now. So, carrying a few investigations there. It was Briar Road, you said, didn't you? Where the incident took place? That's correct, ma'am. You head over to the holding cells, you will meet the criminal himself. You brand him a criminal already? He's as good as shaking like a leaf in his cell, he is. Give you a chuckle if nothing else. He's inmate 53. Speak to the jailer and he'll show you the way. Inmate 53. Thank you. No helping anyone against the Reaper of the Bailey, they say. Something troubling you, Mr. Naruhodo? Tell the truth, when I recall the trial yesterday, I couldn't help myself from shaking. The idea of facing the Reaper in court again is... Well, you think it's too much for you. No shame in turning the case down. That takes courage, too. If the man they have arrested is innocent, you could well imagine he would be shaking like a leaf in his cell. And I, for one, wouldn't find the sight of that funny. So... if I'm honest, I'm still reeling from the shock of yesterday's events myself, and I'm really not sure if I'll be able to help this man, whoever he is, but I'd like to try, so I think I'm going to make some inquiries. Will you help? Did you really think you had to ask? After all, I am your judicial assistant. Thank you. So then, shall we? Yes! Let's go! Let's go to the prison first. Let's go talk to our defendant. "19th February, local prison, cell 9. So these are British prison cells. Oh, they're ghastly. Feels just like a dungeon. I'm experiencing it in Japan myself. I can assure you that our wooden cells feel a lot cozier than these cold stone walls. Oh, don't, Mr. Naruhodo. You're making it seem worse. Apparently our client is in this cell here. It's so dark in the back there, I can't make him out. I wonder what he's like. Inmate 53, your legal representative is here to see you. Stop by and back in the cell and show your face at once. Am I a cat? Is yet with no name, calling me by numbers, utterly unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable. I refuse to answer. Mr. Naruhodo, what? What do you think is going on here? I have no idea. I wasn't just hearing things, was I? That tirade of complaints was in Japanese. Excuse me. Quiet! They're all around, hiding. I know they are. They're watching, listening. Even now, I can sense it. Oh no. Right. So could I ask you who... There you are! You come to curse me, haven't you? Don't try to hide it. You're a ghost. A ghost? What do you mean you no harm, prisoner-san? Are you Japanese by any chance? This is beyond my wildest dreams! Forgive me for the outburst before, I'm so sorry. It's fine, we're just a little surprised, that's all. Imagine it! It's been 12 long months since I left my hometown. Here I am in a frightful fix in a foreign land. So hearing the sweet, sentimental tones of a compatriot's voice here in this damp, dark hellhole was a most monumentally moving moment. Interesting. Sorry, so this is kind of off topic. I hurt my toe tonight. I was walking upstairs and tripped over it. And I have a history of challenges with my big toe, the toenail. So I think I'm gonna have some issues again, which is unfortunate. It's not like a bad thing. I'm not like in danger. It's just gonna hurt and be annoying. Clients are going to be a fellow Japanese. What compassion my fellow countrymen showed to dispatch a first-class lawyer all the way from Japan to defend a mere foreign student. Noble, nurtured, never failing Nippon. A first-class lawyer? Oh dear, I think there's been something of a misunderstanding here. I wonder, would you be so kind as to tell us what's happened? Why you've been detained as a suspect, for example? Yes, I can, I will. Trying to stay silent and silent. Not quite sure what he means, but he seems happy. Yeah, he does. Thank you for your cooperation. I am a lawyer. As you said, my name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. And I am Naruhodo-san's judicial assistant, Susanoo Mikotoba. I am a visiting student sent here by our government. Notoriously named Natsumi! Soseki Natsumi. He's a student. Soseki Natsumi-san. What an unusual name. Call me Soseki, please. I'm a poet, you see. A writer of haiku. Something of a nom de plume. A nom de plume? You mean an alias? That's right, Naruhodo-san. No, don't be so prosaic. I'm much more refined than that. And haiku, that really reminds me of home. Did I hear you say that you were a visiting student sent over here by the government? Yes, that's right. A year ago, I was told to go and study English. First, I had to suffer that misery, and now this. It's beyond the pale. Suffer that misery. Did you not want to study here? No, I mean, I've had an interest in Great Britain for some years, of course. Oh. But just because the government tells you to do something doesn't mean you can do it. No. What do you mean? They told me to study English literature. That I could have understood. That's my field. But no, they told me to study the English language. Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable. I see. Only the other day I was listening to a report about my first year here. I tendered a blank piece of paper. Wise words on a white washi. You must be a man of great standing. Oh yes, so I'm often told. I'd like to be told, it seems. Okay. Could you perhaps tell us exactly why you've been arrested, Soseki-san? I didn't do it! I didn't commit that atrocious murder! Murder? Oh, no, it's alright. A woman didn't actually die, did she? But she was stabbed with a knife right before my eyes! Before your eyes? You mean you saw the attacker? I didn't see anyone. What? If I'd seen the person who did it, do you think I'd be locked up in here? Oh dear. This case is becoming rather complicated. Why me? Why me? Why did that silly woman have to be stabbed in front of me? It's a curse of London. It's incredibly, excuse me, irritatingly inconvenient. Soseki-san was there at the scene, but he didn't see the attacker. Finally, we find out more about the case. It was an accursed evening just after the snow had started to clear and heavy with fog. I'd been to the bookshop to buy some books. I was on my way back to my accursed lodgings. Okay, the bookshop wasn't accursed too. So I was walking along that accursed beam and I could make out the soul silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman wearing a green overcoat she was. And just as I went to overtake her, she suddenly let a little scream and collapsed into the cold, hard sides of the stone at my feet. How terrible. I called to the woman, but she didn't move. It was like a ghastly good as a grim graveyard. Slight exaggeration there, perhaps. I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran as fast as my legs could carry me back to my cursed lodgings. That's not good. Oh, they'll say it was shameful, I know, to run away like that. Tell me, Soseki-san, was the victim an acquaintance of yours? Don't be ridiculous. Do you think I know of any of these fair-haired English or young woman at that? I'm a different, shy, timid, unsure. I can't talk to people. I see. A young woman unknown to Soseki-san. At the time it happened, who else did you see nearby? Did anybody pass you? Regrettably, apart from myself and the woman, I didn't see a soul. No one? Oh, great. So the victim was unknown to you, and there was nobody else on the street at the time. This creates something of a conundrum, doesn't it? What conundrum? What do you mean, Suzuki-san? What's the conundrum? Well, if what Soseki-san just told us is true, there's something I can't explain. He says that he didn't know the victim and there was no one else at the scene. Then he apparently fled without having been seen. I did! If that's the case, surely this man has to be the culprit. What did you just say? Nothing. I didn't say anything. Oops. Perhaps I thought that a little loudly. That's not what was troubling me. What I was thinking was, how did Soseki-san actually come to be arrested? Well, he didn't touch the victim and there was nobody at the scene to see him. So how did the police ever discover that he was there in the first place? Oh yeah, she's right. It was him. A cursed great detective. He led the police to me. Of all the bad luck, a cursed great detective? Could it be? Oh, I shall never forget that man's name as long as I live. With his haughty laugh and his self-proclaimed greatness. Brash, big-headed, busybody, be gone. May you be cursed at the end of your days, Herlock Sholmes! I knew it. Mr. Sholmes? I didn't expect to hear that name from this man's lips, that's for sure. It was the morning after that nightmare unfolded on the pavement before me with gnawing on a sliver of hard cheese. Some men suddenly burst in through the door. They started shouting at me. There's the police, put the weapon down. Yes, it was a thin sliver, and yes, it was hard. But I wasn't eating a weapon. Disgusting dietary discrimination. Devils! You clearly had a trying morning yesterday. And there he was in the middle of all the policemen, grinning like a Cheshire cat. That Sherlock Sholmes. It's actually just Sherlock Sholmes. He's English. I've since found he's a famous name in detection here in London. Yes, the great detective is really well known. And his overly sharp mind managed to deduce my whereabouts, apparently. He thinks I'm the wife with a madman. Me, the weakest duplicate of a man. I wonder what great deduction process led him to the conclusion this time. You mean to say that Mr. Sholmes' deduction was the only reason the police arrested you? That would be really most unreasonable. Well, the thing is, I was thrown into a panic when they barged their way in. Of course you were. There's only natural. Well, I was terrified and trembling, and they kept throwing question after question at me in impossible English. Fiendish foreign film flimmery! Or flim, not film, flim. Sorry, I'm not reading well tonight. Well, we are in England. You can't really blame them for questioning you in English. Good point, good point. But my mind went blank. I knew I had to answer, but I didn't know what to say. So I just kept repeating things like, yes, I do, and I'm fine. Next thing I knew, I was in manacles, and before I knew it, I was thrown in here. Oh dear, I'm afraid that's hardly surprising. I'm fine. He's not fine now. Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. You can just call me Naruhodo. When we're speaking English, a simple mister is more than enough. Oh yes, alright. Yes, they've really got to me. This country is poisoning my mind. Please, I beg you to defend me in court tomorrow. You could tell them what really happened. You'll do it, won't you? Well, Why? It's so hard to say yes to me. Well, that thing is, I'm just a student like yourself on a study tour. A student? I have defended a case in the Old Bailey, only the one, though. But at this moment in time, I really don't know what I'm supposed to believe in. I'm confused about what justice in this country even means. Naruhodo-san. I'm not even the foreign student who's supposed to be here. I'm a sort of locum lawyer, I suppose. That armband, that's the mark of a defense lawyer, not from our great empire. It's a keepsake from the man who should have been here. He was my best friend. A keepsake? I know exactly what they're saying about me. Whoa, what do you mean? The lawyers, all the British defense lawyers, they won't defend me. Goodness, why? Why do you say that? The same reason as you noted before. When it happened, there was only the victim and myself around, and I ran away from the scene of the crime. I'm not a fool. I know it looks as though I must be the culprit. Must be very hard for you, Seki-san. Anyway, I'm a student from overseas. I'm just a foreign nobody to them, somebody not to be trusted. I heard them openly laughing about me before in my earshot without any communication at all. Any travel for this man might be a waste of time, they said, and of course the foreigner did it. He has the gall to say the man doesn't understand half of what's being said anyway. That's awful. They're wrong. I say more English than half of the policemen out there on the streets. I've traveled halfway around the world to learn about these people's country and its great history. But no one here wants to listen to a man with a strange accent. They all hate me. So, at the very least, I'd like to entrust my fate to somebody who can listen to me in my native tongue. You could do it, couldn't you? When I look into your eyes, I can see it. I can see what you've been through. Seki-san, it's just that. Give me a little time, please. Huh? I'll do what I can for the time being. What do you mean? We shall investigate the case as thoroughly as possible. If we can find some clues, it will give us a much better chance, I'm sure. Oh, yes. Thank you. I'll be here, all alone, waiting for you. Locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. We should be going then, Naruhodo-san. We have a case to prepare for. All right. While this is happening, I'm going to get some more water real quick because I am thirsty. All right. Let's get to it. Briar Road. So this is where it happened. Briar Road. Oh, look, Mr. Naruhodo. Look at that regulation metal helmet. It's unmistakable. The men of Scotland Yard are here. They're investigating as we speak. That is their job, you know. Mr. Naruhodo, see one with my own eyes. They're often depicted in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes, but I never dreamt I'd ever come this close. The real Bobby's helmets. What the helmet? Hehe, of course. I had to try one on one day. I hope your Hattie dream comes true. What's the Japanese delegation doing here? Oh, Inspector Gregson. This isn't a tourist trail, but I'm fairly sure you're well aware. Yes, of course. We're here to investigate. So you've been to the holding cells then. What do you make of the criminal? He's not a criminal as you put it, Inspector. He's a suspect. We'll see about that. You Japanese like to stick together, I suppose. Well, we'll do what you will. It doesn't bother me. Bloke's in court tomorrow, whatever happens, and the verdict's a foregone conclusion. Stone Cold Air rejection. Take heart, London at this time of year is full of Stone Cold Air. That makes it worse somehow. Tell me about Scotland Yard, Inspector. Ever since I read about it in the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, I've been fascinated by the place. The Yard is the most sophisticated police organization you'll find anywhere in the world, ma'am. Oh, and you know I've always dreamt of wearing a real Bobby's helmet. It does make them look the part, seeing that policeman there with his helmet on. I certainly get the sense that this is a man who will take no nonsense in his duty of protecting the city. Oh yes, does he look wonderful? Being a London Bobby is hard going, I can tell you. Oh really? First thing in the morning, you know what he does? Goes around and rouses all the laborers on his beat so they can get out to work. What? Wakes people up? Yep. Raps on their windows with a long pole. Did it myself, going back a bit. I had no idea. Bobby works for the people of the town. It's just another one of his duties. After that, he starts tirelessly patrolling the streets all day long. Has to cover 20 miles a day. That's regulation distance. Can't really imagine how far that is, but it sounds like a long way. Let me see. About 50 miles, that's approximately the distance from Tokyo to Yokohama. On foot? That's definitely taking things a step too far. When it gets dark, of course, he has the important job of lighting all the gas street lamps. Oh my. I suppose in between all those duties, Bobbies are expected to investigate cases as well. And chase after criminals trying to evade the law. I'm not sure you could call it in between exactly, more alongside, but yes. They're expected to handle those jobs as well. We do have men keeling over from time to time, I admit. Oh, I shouldn't have wearing one of those helmets, as I said. But with a heavy heart, but I shall have to relinquish that dream to you, Mr. Naruhodo. Your heavy heart will be my heavy head if you do. It happened around 5 in the evening 2 days ago, just there on the open bit of pavement. The victim, a young woman, was stabbed with a blade from behind. It is right that the lady is unconscious now. You mentioned that she's being treated in hospital. I never said she was a lady. Truth is, unless she comes around pretty smart, we won't be able to find out much about her at all. Doesn't mean they haven't been able to take a statement from her, of course. Here's a map of the local area if you happen to have on me. Take it if you want. Really? Are you sure? It's our policy to give lawyers defend suspects the odd bit of information to go on. Haven't accepted the job yet, but still. Thank you, Inspector. We gratefully accept. Anyway, as far as we know, there was no one else at the scene other than the victim and your fellow countrymen. So who do you think? Not much of a head scratcher, is it? Well, I know Mr. Natsume is also claiming not to have seen anyone else around, but just because he didn't see anyone, it doesn't mean we can be sure that nobody else was present. Sorry to have to tell you, but we most certainly can be sure. How? Because, ma'am, Prasad's movement of the stabbing didn't go unnoticed. The what? We have two very reliable witnesses, no less. Well, there was no one around, but there were two witnesses. It was a typical pocket London day, and your client obviously didn't see them. They were witnesses now. Who are these witnesses, Inspector? A fellow and his wife, and the man's one of the most reliable and respected citizens in all of London. He's a copper from Scotland Yard. A policeman? That might change things. This policeman just happened to be there at the exact moment the woman was attacked? Nothing peculiar about that, ma'am. Part and parcel of being a Bobby, catching them banging the act and all that. You think it might be possible? Press to ask that policeman a few questions. Be my guest. You can ask him what you like. And court tomorrow. Oh. I've no doubt he'll be summoned as a witness. So I'll give you something to look forward to. That's that then. He's got no intention of letting us hit them in beforehand, it seems. Policeman witnessed the incident. As a judicial assistant, I must warn you that this could make our job very difficult indeed. Yes, as a non-judicial assistant, I could have warned me of that too. Yeah, one more thing, Inspector. What? Person who led you to the suspect. I heard that was Mr. Herlock Sholmes. What are you bringing him up for? Something I said. Color is drained from his cheeks. Where did you hear that name from? Oh, well, it was Mr. Natsumi who mentioned it. He said that Mr. Sholmes was with the police when they entered his lodgings. I'm sure that was a result of one of Mr. Sholmes' inspirational great deductions. Fatal! That man's an amateur, and I'm getting sick and tired of him showing his mug everywhere. Oh. I don't know where he gets his information from, but he turns up at the scene of the crime. Wanders around spouting incomprehensible rubbish before you know it. Gonna just solve the case. Yes, he's quite astounding, isn't he? He is a great help to Scotland Yard, though, isn't he? Gibble gabble. Gibble gabble. Ever seen this before? Oh, yeah, that's Rance Magazine. The wonderful publication was The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes appears. Yeah, well, that wonderful publication, as you put it, sees fit to include several of the Yard's detectives in its stories. So a great detectives make a mockery of all of us. So if you have anyone at the Yard's a misadventure to be included in any Herlock Sholmes tale at all. Well, I suppose there is an element of that. We work our socks off, every one of us, only to be frumped by the public thanks to that obnoxious detective. The man's as dangerous to us at Scotland Yard as he is to all our criminals. That can't really be true, can it, Inspector? Clearly, the great detective and the police have a complex relationship. That twitchy Japanese bloke goes on trial tomorrow. Are you going to defend him or not? Well, makes no difference to me, but I will just say this. No London lawyer worth his salt would touch that case with a barge full. Because the prosecution is being handled by the Reaper of the Bailey, you mean? There's no way to save the man now. It's a waste of time trying. It is all a bit strange, though. Sorry? The Reaper. He hasn't appeared in court once for a good few years now. Yes. We did hear something to that effect. And the only people he usually bothers with are the real scum, the master criminals, the violent ones. Master criminals? The violent ones? That's right. He handpicks his victims, only deals with those guaranteed to go to the gallows for their sins. But Mr. Natsumi wouldn't hang for what he's accused for, surely. That's just my point, Sunshine. Yes, the one woman was stabbed, but it didn't kill her. Couldn't even say the intent was there. So this isn't the sort of case I'd be expecting the Reaper to want to sink his teeth into, for what a better phrase. And it's not exactly a minor infraction, is it? No, there's got to be more to it. For some reason he's taken an interest. And I'm guessing it's to do with the victim. What sort of reason, Inspector? You think I can tell what's going on inside the head of that Lord of Darkness? You'll have to ask him yourself at tomorrow's trial. We're looking at the face of Reaper again. Lord of Darkness, as he put it. Well, don't think we're gonna get any more useful information out of the detective. Naruhodo, can I make a suggestion? Yeah, what is it? Well, it seems to me that we must speak with him about this. By him, do you mean Mr. Sholmes? Yes, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, exactly. Look at those shining eyes. You can't wait, can you? Well, Mr. Natsumi did blame Mr. Sholmes for all this, didn't he? Yes, he did. He really did. Which makes him an involved party in the case. Are we going to ignore that? I hope not. I assure you this is not simply my selfish desire to meet with Mr. Sholmes again. Trouble is, we have no idea of the man's address even. It's Baker Street. How do you know that? It's in the stories, of course. 221B Baker Street, the most famous address in the world. I see. Well, there's nothing to stop us from going, I suppose. We're gonna try to find a way there before she doesn't get any more excited and unpredictable. Hurrah! I'll summon a carriage. So we're to have a reunion already with the great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Oh, that's a Scotland Yard carriage. They use vehicles like this to rush to crime scenes and cart away criminals. You're well informed, aren't you? It's a long been a dream of mine to ride one of those through the streets of London. I love how giddy Susato is. Just enjoying life. This is fun. I love it. Well, just pick up a stone and throw it through one of the windows. But that would mean being arrested in order to ride it, wouldn't it? Still, if it's the only way, help me find a... No, I wasn't serious. What a delightful snowman. I didn't realize the English had a tradition of making snowmen as well. It looks a little creepy though. Oh, it has a scarf. Look, you'd need one if you were out in the freezing cold all the time. I wish I had one. I'm afraid our budget is somewhat frozen at the moment too. We certainly can't afford a scarf. Surely the snowman here wouldn't miss this, but the person who made the snowman certainly would. Yeah, I know you're right. Anyway, even if I borrowed it, it wouldn't do much to warm my neck, would it? It's covered in snow. That's one of the officers from Scotland Yard. The police are making sure the crime scene is undisturbed. I have a feeling that if we wander too close, we'll be chopped or clapped in irons. I think perhaps you're being a little overcautious. We've done nothing wrong, so we have no cause for concern. Oh no, I'm not getting caught out again. Twice is enough. Twice I found myself in handcuffs despite not knowing a thing about what was going on. Yes, you've had some dreadful experiences. I'm sure it's that wide-eyed look of panic you're so prone to. It does you no favors at all. Ugh. The patch of pavement this patch of pavement must be where the incident occurred. Yes, it's very wide open space, isn't it? That's true. I can't see anywhere an attacker could have been hiding. Oi, what are you foreigners doing here? Ah! Oh, I just investigated the scene, officer. Conspiring with that mustache fella from Japan, are you? Conspiring? Come here to destroy evidence, have you? Get out of here before I give you an eye and go on. She was away like rats. We should give him a wide berth, I think. What a disappointing experience. The officers was... Man, I have a feeling if we wanted to go, we'd be clapped in irons. What in the world? A bridge bicycle, look. Although the wheel is so misshapen, like, sure it could have been riding anyone. Someone must have been doing some breakneck cycling. Seems bicycles have become extremely popular in London recently. There's even a movement to change women's dress to allow them to ride as well. The bicycle fad won't last. I don't see why anyone would want to ride something like that. Goodness, you dislike bicycles? No, not at all. I mean, it's not that I dislike them exactly. It's just that any occupation involves taking both your feet off firm ground seems reckless. If you ever try walking on stilts and fall into a river, I know you'd agree with me. We'll have to hire a bicycle sometime. You can sit behind while I ride you around. Oh, look at the windows of the building there. Are you sure there are windows? Yeah, but they're all filled in with bricks. Oh, you're right. I wonder why. Perhaps it's an empty property where nobody lives at the moment? There's smoke coming from the chimneys, though. Oh dear, everything still feels very foreign. There's so much we have to learn about this place. There are piles of snow on the pavement here and there, but the road itself is covered in carriage tracks. It seems carriages often travel down Briar Road. It should disperse all the snow. I slipped over when I was walking down the pavement earlier. Seems like it would be far safer to walk on the road instead. Oh, but you're rather small, Mr. Naruto, and dressed all in black. I worry coachman might not see you and you could be flattened by horses. Well, thank you for the rather small Oops. That's a rather typical old brick building, isn't it? I'm sure it has a long and interesting history. Well, time certainly seems to have taken its toll on the place. It's crooked and sagging all over. In fact, it looks in decidedly worse shape than the other houses around here. We must find some cheap lodgings ourselves as soon as possible. Yeah, you're right. Cheap, but ideally within reasonable level floors. The clouds look so big and heavy in the sky, don't they? And with the dense fog as well, everything looks hazy. Well, it is known as foggy London town. I can just make out some sort of spiral through the fog. It looks like it's still being built, though. Aha, yes, that must be the Crystal Tower, being built for the great exhibition that's to open in 6 months' time. Apparently, it's going to be very striking glazed on all sides of the symbolic centerpiece of the exhibition. It's to be the largest exhibition in history, as I can't even begin to imagine. I have to wonder if Van Zeke's is there something related to the exhibition going on. Do you see all the black smoke rising from the chimneys over there? Like, I could see Mr. McGilded being a part of the exhibition. I bet this woman will end up having something to do with the exhibition. I'm sure Kazuma has something to do with the exhibition. Not the murder of him, but like that's why he was coming over here partially. It says here in Great Britain, many people heat their homes with winter using coal. The only chimneys I really remember seeing in Japan were on top of the bathhouse. Do you think some of those houses could be on fire? Not at all. Well, even so, that much thick smoke billowing out of the heavens is really going to turn the whole sky black sooner or later. Ah, she may be right about that. I kind of like the touch of like giving like insight into how people at the time might be viewing things that we like have today that we just like take for granted, like bicycles, and like I mean and then even like coal. Oh boy! All right, it's time. Carrying a sword in the street.
Thank you very much. It's just up there overlooking the street. Good day. Thanks again. This is it. The residence of Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
Looks nice. 221B. Oh my gosh, dude. Whoa! Alright, well, Sholmes' suite. So this is where the great detective makes his living. Feels surreal to be here somehow. Is it as described in the stories, Miss Suzato? Suzato-san? Many famous cases have been solved here in this very room. Oh, I suppose it must have been, yeah? never read the story, so it's hard to get quite as excited about it as she seems to be. The detective changes the village relentlessly as he disappears into the fog down on London streets. Oh, the thrill of it, the romanticism. Can't you feel your heart thumping in your chest? Can't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, I suppose I can, yeah. So if you don't mind, I'll just stand here and soak up the atmosphere for a while longer. Please, don't mind me. She's obsessed. Well, looks like our detective friend isn't home at present. Excuse me, is anybody home? Oh, do we have a visitor? Hello. Is it a big news case for Mr. Sholmes? This makes sense, given her contraptions were very similar to Mr. Holmes's headgear. Hello. Wait, aren't you... Oh, how rude of me. I'll go make some tea at once. I'm sure it's the same girl. Miss Susano, did you see the girl who was just there? Oh, yeah, isn't it truly extraordinary? The thing that the King of Bohemia came to this very room to ask Mr. Sholmes to take on his case. King of Boheria? King Wilhelm Gottschried Sigismund von Ormstein, of course. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Get the adventures of Herlock Sholmes for a moment. Look over there. Tea's brewed, and I have a freshly baked cake as well. Oh, it's you. I knew it. Giselle recognizes her too. There you are. I'm taking that with you as well. I was looking forward to the trial run of my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Oh, good day to you. I'm, well, inventor, I suppose, of that machine. It's the girl who turned up at the end of Mr. McGillis' trial in the defendant's antechamber. I've never met a lawyer from the Far East before. Poor you, having to get straight to work when you've only just arrived in London. Oh, yes, it was challenging. Well, try this tea. It's my special blend, you know. Oh, thank you. Is tea supposed to look that color? Oh my, what a fragrant yet mellow flavor. Hooray! It's a winter. I tried blending different leaves designed to alleviate fatigue, you see. You must be exhausted after your long voyage here, and you have another ticklish trial tomorrow. Oh, and you're to defend a Japanese man. I do wish lots and lots of luck. Wow, you sure know a lot. Mr. Sholmes tell you about us by any chance? Oh, you know Hurley, dude. Hurley? Mr. Sholmes to you, Shirley. Mr. Sholmes was a fellow passenger on the boat that brought us to Great Britain, you see. Was he really? Well, I had no idea. I'm afraid Hurley's out on an errand again today, even though he's just returned from overseas. Wait a minute, we met this girl for the first time ever yesterday after the trial. Only briefly at that. How on earth does she know so much about us? Did she deduce all those things, do you think? Perhaps more to the point. Why is she here, Mr. Sholmes, sweet? Oh, silly me, I haven't introduced myself, have I? It's a great pleasure to meet you both. My name is Iris Wilson. Oh, Iris. I live here together with Hurley. Iris, is it? What a lovely name. What? What's the matter? So you're the daughter of the assistant, Mr. Wilson. My heart is happy. Did you say that your name is Wilson? What's the matter with Suzato-san? Why is she so flustered all of a sudden? Yes, that's right. And what are your names? Oh, I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a lawyer from Japan. Oh, sorry. I'm Naruhodo's judicial assistant, Suzato Mikotoba. It's wonderful to meet you. Lovely. Susie and Runo. Got it. Susie and Runo? There's more to this girl that meets the eye. I have so many questions for her. I don't know where to start. Yes! And so do I. How do you read his... Okay, let us talk. Oh, Iris. It was you that we ran into yesterday, wasn't it, the Old Bailey? Yes, that's right. You were ever so helpful. Thank you so much. Oh, no, not at all. I'm so sorry we couldn't have been more welcoming.
Who needs a girlfriend when you can just watch my stream?
We did have a rather large gun pointed at us.
Son? I sure hope nothing bad happens to you and there's not a murder or anything that would ruin your birthday.
Eric, thank you for 40 months of subscribing. Welcome back to the Sarah Squad. It's good to have you, as always. Dude, I might be needing to get some more elaborate sub badges. I only have up to the 1 year. Didn't think I'd make it to this point. Actually, no one has died yet. There was a stabbing, but not a death. Burst like this? Ugh. Thinking back now, you let with Miss Lestrade in tow, didn't you? Oh yeah, that awkward witness Gina Lestrade. Oh, Jeannie, yeah, she's a professional pickpocket. So we found out. It was very naughty of her to pinch my invention like that. Are you referring to that trial-disrupting gun-like contraption? Exactly, so I followed her, you see, to get it back. Perhaps I should think about fitting a self-destruct mechanism in my inventions. This girl is dangerous. Anyway, I brought Jeannie back here after that, or Ginny. She can apologize to my trusty technician. Sorry, your technician? Hurley, of course, silly. Hurley? Yes, Sherlock Sholmes, we live here together. I anointed her the great detective and such an interesting young daughter. Daughter? Not likely. What? I wouldn't call him Hurley if he was my father, would I? Well, then what is your relationship with Mr. Sholmes? Well, I expect you found out that lodgings of any kind in London are very expensive. The solution is to share the cost with a partner, a roommate. Your roommates? I mean, I mean, asking Iris, but how old are you? 10, at last this year. Where are your mother and father? Oh, no. They're not around. Oh, I see. I wonder what the story is there. Yes, there's something I must ask you. Of course. Go ahead, Susie. I am a very great fan of the Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes and... Oh, you have a copy of Rand's magazine? Yes, I read every issue. It's delivered all the way to Japan on a ship. Oh, this is so exciting. My stories are being read on the other side of the world. My stories? That's right. Hurley is always solving such amazing cases to you, and he tells me about them. They're really quite fascinating. It would be such a shame if I was the only one who had ever heard them, don't you think? Goodness. Wait. Wait. Are you telling me the Wilson that's been shown in all the cutscenes is actually Iris? Oh my gosh. Alright, game developers. Well played. Well played. Last night he was telling me about the new case he just saw on a steamship traveling from a faraway land. So I was just in the middle of typing up the manuscript for the next issue before you came. So you are the author? Yes, I'll let you in on a secret if you like. I'm going to call this latest adventure the Speckled Band. The Speckled Band? That's certainly very familiar. Of course, I always change one or two details in the stories here and there. This time, I had the idea of making a venomous snake be the cause of all the trouble. Oh, that was Mr. Sholmes' first thought as well, actually. Yes, and of course, I know that a snake might not be a credible fit for the facts of the case exactly, but... It's a story. Some poetic license is justified to make it more thrilling, I think, don't you? So do you mean to say, are the stories about Mr. Sholmes that are published in the Rand's magazine all written by me? Yes, on my wonderful and very modern typewriter. But all the stories I've ever read are written by a doctor of medicine, by Dr. John H. Wilson. Yes. Yes, that's me. I mean, my name really is Wilson. But what about the doctor of medicine part? That's all true, too. I am a doctor of medicine. No, at 10 years old? At 10 years old? Well, that's quite incredible. But Dr. Wilson is an English gentleman. Yes. I did alter the setting slightly for the stories to be more compelling. Oh. Well, it sounds a little strange, doesn't it? A great detective with a 10-year-old girl in tow? I suppose it does, yes. Interesting. This is so... But it's brilliant because we were reading the authorship. So of course we would just think it was John H. Wilson. Oh, I love this. Brilliant. Truly brilliant. About before. Yes, yes. What's on your mind, Bruno? Do tell me. How did you know that I was a lawyer and we just arrived in London, I mean? Yes. Oh, and that we have a difficult trial tomorrow. How did you know all that? Oh, that's what you mean. Please tell us how you did it. Explain every detail. Of course, I'd be delighted. Although, there's really no mystery. Now, let's begin. Iris Wilson is to present her logic and reasoning spectacular. First of all, I knew already that you were a lawyer, Bruno. After all, I met you yesterday at the Old Bailey in the defendant's antechamber. You also said that we'd only just arrived in London. How did you know that? I observed a passport and travel ticket protruding from your breast pocket. Oh, so I was reasonably confident that you must have only just arrived in the country. And on top of that, you accepted the case against a particular prosecutor, telling me you were unaware of London's court affairs. Wait, what is this? Remember the Bailey? I walked into that one, didn't I? Then I noticed a red ink stamp on the back of Susie's hand. You were given that when you visited the local prison to meet with the suspect, weren't you? Earlier today? Ah. They use those stamps to keep a close eye on comings and goings, you see. I didn't realize. That red stamp is only used for people visiting foreign inmates. That told me that even though you had only yesterday concluded the trial Magnus McGilded, the two of you had already had cause to visit a foreign inmate in a local prison. However, neither of you was wearing a particularly sad expression on your face, so I concluded that the prisoner was unlikely to be a friend or a relative. That led me to believe that you must have accepted a new case. I see. How could you have known that the trial is tomorrow? Well, having barely been home a few hours yesterday, Hurley saw yet another case. Obviously amused him, he told me that he caught a Japanese man who was bawling and trembling. A Japanese man? Well, clearly that must have been Mr. Natsumi. Now, Runo has that fancy Japanese sword, and I think your outfit is called a kimono, isn't it, Susie? Well, anyway, it was clear to me that you both come from Japan yourselves, so I put two and two together and decided you must be defending the Japanese man Hurley caught. And there was only one conclusion those facts could lead me to. You both came here to ask Hurley about the case. There's a note on the mantel plate that says the man's trial will be tomorrow. Hurley is always stabbing his notes with a knife, you know. He is silly. And that's all there was to it, really. Thank you for listening. I'm Iris Wilson, and that was one of my great deductions. Dang, she's good. She's a legend. Holy crap. Of course, leave it the Japanese theme games to make small children the most powerful entities in the universe they exist in. Spot on. That was amazing, Iris. Truly a great deduction. She is a prodigy. She's a prodigy for a reason, a prodigy of a reason. You managed that certain something in Mr. Stone's delivery. Oh, well, I was just copying Hurley's style for that. This is really very good news. You could tell us all about the case involving the Japanese man. You will, won't you, Iris? Please? So yesterday, Mr. Stones apprehended a Japanese man, you were saying. Yes. Hurley had just arrived back in London after a sea voyage, but the police were waiting for him at the railway station to take him directly to the crime scene. Ah, great detective's a popular man. Apparently a woman was stabbed on a quiet street somewhere in town. There were witnesses who had seen a short, shifty-looking, stooped man ran away from the scene. Short, shifty-looking, stooped man? Mr. Natsumi beyond any doubt. Seki-san said he didn't see anybody else on the street at all, but it seems there were witnesses after all. Let's go, Eric. I actually don't even know who that is. Hurley uses great detective powers to determine the man's address. It was a lodging room very nearby. Went directly there with the police, and what did they find? Short, shifty looking stooped man, shivering in fear. Mr. Jones' great deduction surely hit the mark that time. course he's a great detective. Still, that means the incident occurred only 2 days ago. Surely tomorrow is too soon for the trial, isn't it? Yeah, definitely. We have no time to investigate properly. Earlier it says that London is rife with crime. Oh. Scotland Yard is doing its best, but they can't stay on top of it, apparently. Oh dear, I hadn't realized the situation was so dire. That's why they can't afford to spend too much time investigating cases and trying to criminals in court. Sam and money are both short. Crimes are usually pinned on the first suspicious person. That's terrible. I suppose it's the harsh reality of the workings of the world's greatest justice system. What's up, Keeper? I suppose it is. I don't hold up much hope for Saseki-san. Dang, Keeper wants me to blunder. He wants that. He wants those gift subs to roll out. Thank you for answering so many of my questions, Iris. This has been very informative. Oh, you're most welcome. I've had so much fun. Do you happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is at the moment? As you guess, we'd like to ask him some questions about this case as well. Ah, well, I expect Hurley is still investigating the scene. Of the case involving Mr. Natsumi, you mean? Yes, Mr. Natsume? Oh, no. Hurley, I see, was going to the man's lodgings. So you know you'll probably catch him there. Iris, do you know where those lodgings are? Well, imagine the police are still investigating the scene of the crime themselves, aren't they? You happen to come across a detective by the name of Gregson when you were there? Yeah, we know Inspector Gregson. Ah, goody, in that case. Get Gregsy this for me, would you? If you do that, I'm sure I'll tell you what you want to know. What is this? 5 shilling piece and a postcard, it seems. Oh. Wait, I hope that... Is that... Yeah, okay. I want to read the book sometime, so I'm gonna not read... I'm not gonna read into it any further. I actually kind of want to read the books now. It reads, tell the gentleman... Yeah, sure. It reads, tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust it won't be a problem. Gosh, this will make the inspector help us, will it? Well, thank you, Iris. We'll give it a try. Good luck then. I'm going to return to writing my manuscript, The Speckled Band. We'll be making more special blends of tea. So come back again soon. We'd be delighted. Thank you so much, Iris. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, it's back to the scene of the crime. So, somewhat dubious that they would exert any influence over the men of Scotland Yard at all. We headed back to the scene with Iris's curious note on the world's heaviest silver coins in hand. To be continued. We're gonna keep going. I didn't actually investigate anything. Oh yeah, I have a fantasy player in. Let's see how he's doing. Ooh! Robinson's doing good so far. Keep it up. Alright, we're back. It looks as though the police are still here carrying on with their investigation. Perfect, so let us find Inspector Gregson as quickly as possible. Yep, and let's see if he'll take a break from his chips to look at that silver tip Iris gave us for him. Can I move anywhere? I kind of want to, like... I want to investigate again. Never actually, like, investigate anything. I do like this fireplace. It's one of the best things I've seen since we arrived in the country, in fact. The group beside the fire and watching the flames flicker and dance at the gate. It's so relaxing. We can't relax. Now there's so many interesting things on the mantelplate piece. Oh, it just said it was described in the stories. It is? Yes, exactly. Inside that Persian slipper, for example, are my chocolates for Elevensies. Yeah, that's good, Eric. I like that. And translated with that large jackknife is my shopping list for the market. Oh, it's not quite how I remember it being described in the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Poor Zatsan, she looks crushed. Looks like that huge metal chest is being used at the table for tea and coffee. She's very sturdy with an equally sturdy lock. Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't go around opening things. I always have to keep an eye on you, don't I? You're very mischievous. How did you come to that conclusion? Oh, that chest? It contains some of the most valuable things, and that smile tells me you're not going to give us any clue about what they are. Yeah, I just wanted James Robinson to play well. Mr. Shu, curious hammer, some mysterious dancing in a bust of Napoleon. Ah, what an entrancing collection. First time in my life that I've seen a lonely old tree displayed as an ornament. Oh, those are all mementos that Hurley has collected from his past cases. Really? Even the bust? Yes, that's right. When the mood takes him, he likes to throw it on the floor and smash it to dust. Poor defenseless emperor, Mr. Sholmes destroys it? Yeah, and then he buys a new one. You make it sound like he has the temperament of an insane sculptor. How entrancingly bohemian of him. All sorts of shelves, chemistry apparatus, books, paper, and lots of things I've never seen before. It's all heaped up so high, I can't help feeling that the whole lot is going to topple at any moment. I keep telling Hurley not to cram so much on those shelves. Good advice. He wanted to look something up in one of those books a while ago. But it was so tightly wedged in, he couldn't get it out. So he went and bought a new copy instead. Jeepers. Oh, that's my blackboard when I write notes or ideas of Black Peter. What does that mean? Oh, how intriguing. It must be the title of Iris's latest work. Oh my. I wonder what fantastic tale awaits us. Zaza looks like an angel. I bet you're dreaming of the most grisly crime you can imagine. It's a case that Hurley solved just recently. A black cat called Peter went missing in the neighborhood. Hurley tracked it down to the fishmongers in the end. Well, can't wait for the story to be published. What a beautiful English tea set, and so neatly arranged. It's a favorite pastime of mine, a cup of herbal tea in the afternoon. Tea? Made of herbs? That's right, I grow all sorts of herbs in the garden, so I can experiment with different blends. One moment, don't go away. I'll brew a pot of the special blend I came up with earlier today. She looks delighted. I only hope it's safe to drink. That's a charming little white shelf and full of charming little bottles, too. Oh, yeah, but don't touch any of those. They might explode. Explode? Are they exotic chemicals? Do you use them for exciting experiments? Yes, indeed. And as Hurley always says, chemistry is an explosive science. Sorry. I agree. A single discovery can trigger an explosion of innovation all around the world. Or perhaps you just meant it literally. By the way, mental note, do not touch any bottle that belongs to Iris. What on earth is that black lump over there? Ah, that's a typewriter. It's a machine that allows you to write on paper without needing a pen. And wizardly quick, too. Oh, that sounds like it could be very useful for someone like me with terrible handwriting. Wait, Iris, are all the stories from the adventures of Sherlock Holmes? Yes, everyone typed on this trusty machine. Oh my goodness. How wonderful. Zaza looks like she's been shown into the Tokyo Imperial Palace Gardens. What on earth? This is huge over-the-top machine. That's a great analytoscope. It can analyze anything, really anything at all. That's absolutely incredible. It's one of Hurley's inventions. It took him a whole year. He said it was to help him with his investigations. Excuse me. What sort of thing does he analyze with it? Do you know? Well, actually, he hasn't used it for anything yet. Oh. Well, why not? Apparently, on the evening he finally completed it, it suddenly occurred to him. I don't actually have anything I need to analyze. Oh dear. How about you, Bruno? Do you have anything you'd like to analyze? The only thing that springs to mind is the machine itself. But keep that in mind. We may want to come back. Yo, what's up, my guy? We got a little postcard for you. Inspector Gregson, do you have a moment? I'm sorry to say I don't. I'm a very busy man. Much too busy to talk to a pair of foreign gadabouts, that's for sure. We have these for you. A present from Miss Iris Wilson. What? For me? For her ladyship? Her ladyship? Give that here at once. Come on, hand it over. That's for me. What was that coin exactly? It's a silver crown, obviously, but it's a lot more than that. It's, well, it's an appearance fee. That's what it is. An appearance fee? Oh, I see. You mean... That's right, for the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. Her ladyship always offers me a little financial reward for featuring me every time. Yes, yes, of course. I know all about your exploits, Inspector. I read them avidly. Of course, her using my name without me saying so does make me the butt of a lot of unpleasant jokes, but still. I am sorry, Inspector, that must be difficult for you. Never you mind that! So, what do you want to know then, eh? Sorry? Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem, it says. Well, obviously it's not a problem. Go on, fire away. What do you want to know? Well, if you wouldn't mind, Inspector, we'd very much like to know the address of Mr. Natsumi's lodgings. Ah, little knife-wielding mustache Japanese fellow. He lives in a right old hovel. It's just over there. Look. Yeah. On the first floor of that house at the corner where there's a wreck of a bicycle. It's probably... That's his house? Man, he was really close to home. That is nearby indeed. If I remember rightly, the landlord is a Mr. John Garrideb. Right, well, if you see her again, you make sure you give her ladyship my regards, you hear? I mean, you tell that Gregson sent his very best wishes. Don't worry, Inspector, we will. Bye for now, then. And long live her ladyship. Oh my, he's a bit obsessed, isn't he? Well, at least he told us what we wanted to know before he left. Yeah, so then shall we go and see what we can find in Mr. Natsumi's lodgings? Definitely! Holy cow. There's a lot going on in here. May I help you? Yes. Would this be the residence of Mr. John Garrideb? Indeed it would, sir. Oh, this is the landlord's. And who, may I say, is calling? My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Mr. Naruhodo is representing Mr. Sosuke Natsumi. I believe he takes lodgings here. We would very much like to ask him some questions about our clients. Okay. One moment, please. I shall convey the message to Mr. Garrideb. Did you see that, Mr. Zato? That was a real-life English maid. I know, as I understand it, anyone standing in English society employs a number of household staff. That was the first time I've ever seen one in the flesh. Oh, this day keeps getting better. So it feels like we've really arrived now, doesn't it? We only need to meet a butler and the experience will be complete. Well, I'm not sure if I'd go that far, but I understand the sentiment. Thank you for waiting. Mr. Garrideb will see you now. This way. Oh, my. Ooh, that enormous screen. It must have been put there deliberately, surely. Yeah, it seems like someone's trying to hide something from view. What could be behind it, I wonder? I'm going to have a very quick look. Just a little peek. Ahem, ahem. Maybe let's not, Miss Susato. The man's going to head us out with a cup of tea. Ahem, ahem. That was like a Medal of Honor, and it's showcased on a very grand banner. Yes, display with some pride, I would say. What bothers me that it's not straight. What, that old thing? Sorry? I should be glad to see the back of it, but the general would turn in his grave I disposed of it. Wall's the best place where it keeps the bally thing out of my way. Polish to shine an accident, huh? Appears to be an inscription on the medal itself. Look. Let me see. It says, for a distinguished participation. Those are the kind of honors even I could be in line for. Well, one doesn't like to blow one's own trumpet, but I was given that for my time in the army. Why is he stirring his tea with his tobacco pipe? Can't measure an officer by the number of medals whose name, of course, common knowledge in military circles. The uniform looks fairly ancient, doesn't it? It's clearly been well looked after, though. That old thing? Pah! Not much better than rags, really. Oh. Well, that ceremonial garb of my retirement bash, you know, but I'm not one for dwelling on the past. Me would have gladly thrown it out, but you know how it is. Anyway, doesn't hurt to have the odd piece of memorabilia lying around, does it? Oh, I see. Perhaps we should leave the past in the past. That's a full-size cannon! What's it doing in here? Oh my, it's real. I thought it might be a replica. That old thing? That's a little more than a toy. Sorry? Army was selling it out when I retired, so I decided to give it a new home. Never know when the enemy might attack next. Not useful to have a cannon about the house. Really, it isn't an overkill? Be prepared, I always say. You never know what this twisted world's gonna throw at you next, boy. Do you think there might be trouble brewing, Mr. Garrett? Always is. Take Joan here. Never fails to have a clean apron on reserve. Drives him over the barrel, you see. They drive very well in the cannon there, Joan tells me, which rather proves my point, I feel. Reduced to a drying rag. One of the huge can looks like it's hanging its head in shame. I also have a pile of books here, Mr. Garrett. Do you enjoy reading? Ever experienced a London winter, boy? Nights are long. No better way to pass the time than in front of the fire with a jolly good book. Oh, there's a copy of Rand's magazine here, I see. No doubt Mr. Garrett enjoys the adventures of Sherlock Holmes, too. The great detective has a great many followers, it would seem. And the floor is interesting. Oh, look, what a wonderful collection of cakes lined up with a gleaming silver cake stand. Lined up, it looks more like somebody has half demolished them to me. I feel like Mr. Garrett could be the culprit. Afternoon tea is a time of indulgence. You know, it's quite the English way. It is Mr. Garrett's custom to take 2 cakes with his tea. Sounds delightful. Oh, wait a minute, though. At least 10 cakes on this cake stand. Well, naturally, it would never do to waste the leftovers. Whenever Mr. Garrett doesn't eat, I say to myself, Joan, you shall have to tidy up. How magnanimous of you. Haha, Joan, I should have known. I should have known. Investigate. Oh, I think I just barely missed the thing. Look at this crockery on display here. It's rather unusual, isn't it? Oh my, genuine London dresser. Isn't it delightful? Oh, the shells seem broken and the crockery is... Oh dear, it's to pieces. It really is. The word cracked wouldn't do that trying to wear justice. I wonder... Perhaps a cannon was fired at it. Yeah, it's probably something like that. Let's not delve too deeply here. Then it looks out over Briar Road where the young woman was attacked. Oh, yeah, I can make out the policeman on the far side of the road investigating the crime scene. That's just rather murky as you can't see very clearly. Is this thing open at all? I wonder. I should underestimate the bitterness of a London winter, sir. Sorry? As soon as you open that window, the tea will freeze in the pot. No Londoner would go opening windows at dusk in the middle of winter, I assure you. Unlikely they would have seen anything in the incident. That portrait of Mr. Garrett was glaring at me, I swear. Have you noticed that all the little frames contain photographic prints of Mr. Garrett as well? Yes, and there seems to be a statue or a lion on the mantle as well. Oh yeah, seemed to come back from the local pawnbroker with that little trinket. Seemed to come back? What do you mean? Chap that runs the place is the Bally Wizard. Went in to sell him something and came out with that thing. Point of fact, now I think about it, I rather often find myself leaving the place with something I don't need. That lion ornament certainly does seem surplus to requirements. Other than employ punches. Or throws, for that matter. Alright, let's talk. Good day to you, John Garradab, at your service. Pleased to meet you, sir. This is Ryunosuke Naruto. He's a defense lawyer. Do excuse me not getting up. Took a shot to the knee a few years back in the Battle of Mayawan, don't you know? Earned a medal for my pains, but had to withdraw from service. Handed over the reins to the up-and-comings. A retired soldier. Hell of a job getting up and downstairs now, I tell you. Don't get out much, as you can imagine. Yes, it's quite a climb up here to the second floor, and I was painted at the top of the stairs. You really must take more exercise, Mr. Naruto. Do you think so? Well, Mr. Garradab, no doubt you were very courageous to earn yourself a medal. Oh, it was nothing. The medal was just a folderol, really. Wouldn't like to offend the general, though, so I grudgingly displayed it on the wall. Why don't you fetch it down, Joe, and let these good people see it properly. Joe! Fetch it down! Yeah! Dash it all, woman, be careful. Oh, dear me, I do beg your pardon, sir. You, John, you took the skin off my hands. I should be more careful, sir. There you have it, living the quiet life now. Yes, I see. I hear one about the chap lodging downstairs, is that right? Yes, we would be very grateful if you could answer some questions for us. Only two, please, naturally, especially if it helps to keep the peace here in Blighty. You forged an alliance with the Empire of Japan recently, as I'm sure you're aware, so this case is very much in the public eye, as it were. Oh, is it? You even had some famous detective poking around, you know, in this old house, would you believe? Yes, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Could have been, didn't catch a chap's name. Not really my cup of tea, all that detective business. Oh, but you have a copy of Rance magazine here, so... No! Anyway, the chap's investigating the foreigner's room as we speak. He's in Soseki-san's room. Barely knew what it is. The whole neighborhood's twitching its curtains now. I don't like all this fuss. It's jolly unsettling. About Mr. Natsumi, then, Mr. Garradab, please do tell us. Ah, yes, a Japanese chap. Only been lodging here for a week. Oh, just 1 week? So you moved in very recently, then. I have two lodgers most of the time, one on the ground floor and one just below us. The first floor became available a week ago, you see. There's been... Ah! Dash it all, Joan, do be careful. Oh my goodness, I'm terribly sorry, sir. If you want to know my opinion, I thought he was a shady sort from the moment I set eyes on him. Why? He seemed to have a nervous disposition, always shaking and looking over his shoulder. This man had shady written all over his sweaty-soaked brow, if you ask me. I said to myself, Joan, that man is trouble. Sooner or later, he's going to do something untoward. And I'm really wrong about anything. We won't be calling this maid as a witness, that's for sure. Was there anything else that struck you as suspicious about the man at all? Yes, oh yes, indeed there was. He's dying to tell us. Had you noticed anything else about your lodger, Mr. Natsumi? Oh my word, yes, the man was shadier than an orchid. Could you elaborate? Well, take the man's room. Absolutely stuffed full of books. It is more than anyone could ever read. And he never so much as passes the time of day with another living soul. I haven't seen a single visitor call. He just trots out to the old bookshop every single day and comes back at 5 to light the gas fire. The funny little man is long past the time everybody else in that house has gone to bed too. Oh, I see. The gentleman on the ground floor goes to bed around 9 each night, but I've never known the Japanese fellow to retire any earlier than 2 in the morning. Ah. Could you clarify something, I wonder? What, pray? How do you know so much about Mr. Natsumi's routine? Oh! I understood that neither of the lodgers live on this floor of the house. Is that correct? That's right. They're both below us on the first floor and street level. He's sweating and she looks frazzled. Then how is it that you know so much about the lives of your lodgers? The precise times that they come back in the evening, for example, even the times they go to bed. Ah, good grief, Joan. Be more careful, woman. Oh my goodness, sir. I'm terribly sorry, sir. Something doesn't add up here. It seems that the incident took place around 5 in the evening. Did you happen to look out of the window at around that time? Dude, these two are extremely sus. The window? Yes, we noticed that the window over there looks out over Briar Road. The incident took place on the pavement just on the far side of the street. Was there anyone suspicious loitering nearby? 5 o'clock is dinner time in the Gyaradev household, so I'm afraid I don't remember seeing anything. How about you, Joan? No, sir. It would have been dusk outside already at that hour. And with the fog as well, I should think it would have been quite impossible to see the other side of the road. I see. Did you notice anything else out of the ordinary then? Such as? Anything at all, even if it seems unrelated. Well, yes, was there something then? Nothing particularly significant, but at around the sort of time in here there. This maid is super sus. For the love of God, Joan, watch what you're doing. Oh dear me, what have I done? I'm awfully sorry, sir. Do be more careful, woman. Of course, sir. If I may, Mr. Naro Hollow. Yeah. I have an exceedingly good memory, and as far as I remember, nothing of any significance took place here at that hour. Nothing at all. Yeah, Mr. Gyaradev, the way you were talking before, it sounded rather like there might have been. Well, as I was saying, it was just a traveling matter, really. Nothing. Joan Dashaw, what's the matter with you, woman? Look at your pardon, sir. Nothing happened. Yes, quite. Nothing happened. We sat. She is absurd. This is the most sus I've ever seen sus in this game. That's right, Mr. Gyaradev. What is the matter with these two? Sounds like something happened here in this room on the evening of the incident, but what? I wish I knew. Could you tell us which floor Mr. Natsumi's room is on? Why, certainly, just below us on the first floor. Mr. Schultz is investigating there as we speak. Yes, told me Natsu's name had asked to look into the matter, so I gave him the key. Mr. Natsumi has engaged Mr. Schultz services? That's a blatant lie. Would it be alright if we also had to look around in Mr. Natsumi's room, I mean? I don't see why not. It's just down one flight of stairs. Because we'll find anything that could help us with the case, but we have to try. We need all the clues we can lay our hands on, shall we? Yes, and while we're there, we can speak with Mr. Sholmes again. Perhaps we'll be able to tell us more. Sus, uber duper duper sus. Mega uber duper sus, and it's related to this little thing right here. They're trying to conceal a case of some kind. Insane sus stuff going on here. Heavens almighty, that's a lot of books and cats. What? Just look at this place. Smell it. It's so musty in here. Those are the mountains of old books that are responsible for that. I don't think I've seen so many books in all my life. Me neither. It's so dark in here, too. Is that the window over there? Well, it was the window, I think, yes, once upon a time. For some reason, it's been closed up with bricks and mortar. This is where Mr. Natsumi lives. Excuse me. I haven't spotted Mr. Sholmes anywhere, have you? No, that's true, but according to what Mr. Gyaradev told us, the great detective should be around here somewhere investigating. Kitty! Aww. Oh my, what an adorable little cat. Perhaps he was looking after all the books while his master's away. I don't know about that. He disappeared in that pile of books as quick as a flash. The tricolor Mikey, wasn't it? Don't they even have that sort of cat here in Great Britain? Perhaps Mr. Natsumi brought the little creature with him from Japan. That's made me feel homesick now. Alrighty, we've only been in the country for 2 days. Oh, look, it's a beckoning cat from home. It's a bit big and bulky, isn't it? Surely Master Matsumi didn't bring this Maneki Nico all the way from Japan, did he? I hardly think you're in the position to comment, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm forgetting the enormous Daruma doll that you brought in your luggage. Well, it can be dangerous traveling abroad. I want a lucky charm. I imagine Mr. Natsumi wanted the same. This cat is sure to be beckoning good luck to him. Not doing a very good job so far, is it? You mustn't say such things. I didn't say a word. Why are my eyes such a giveaway? Look at all those books stacked up that they almost reach the ceiling. They're all works of English literature, and they all smell musty. There's a volume of books to hand. You'd never be short of reading material, would you? No, what a dreamy idea. Bad dream, maybe. For me, at least. Mind you, I don't imagine the book that's at the bottom of the pile now will ever be read again. Serene, it is an experience that comes but once in a lifetime, just as the tea ceremony teaches us. I certainly didn't expect the conversation to turn down the path of tea ceremony philosophy. Could you even call this a window? I think so. It was a window at one time, after all. Although all that remains is a frame around some bricks now. Really, it's just a wall then, isn't it? But why would anyone deliberately brick it up like that? I'm afraid I have no idea. Perhaps Mr. Natsumi painted the brick design in a fit of whimsy. That's alarmingly feasible. Anyway, whatever the reason, the lack of ventilation here makes the place very oppressive. It does. I imagine being cooped up in a room like this would be extremely trying. That desk seems to be wedged into a crevice between the mountains of books on either side. I suppose Mr. Natsumi would sit there and read while striking his cat. Or petting, whatever. But surrounded on all sides of these towering old tomes, surely he dreamt of books every night as well. Yes, he must have done. Mustn't he? Oh, what's this? It's a receipt from the second-hand bookshop. Your books. Oh yes, Mr. Natsumi's name is on it. Look, and the date and purchase. 2 days ago at 4:45 p.m. That's the day of the incident. That's just a short while before he was embroiled in the terrible attack. He must have been on his way back from buying some old books. Well. Look, Mr. Naruhodo. Aha, there he is. Where did he appear from? Seems to be engrossed in some pages of an old book. I hope he won't mind if we disturb him. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. You too. Good day. Now, let me see. Where was it that we met? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, we were together on the SS Buria. Yes, of course, the Buria. Let me see. What happened on that voyage? It was Kazuma Soji. He died tragically, but you were a great help to us. Yes, but of course, the case of Mr. Soji was the one with the snake, wasn't it? Oh, well, you seem to remember something of it at least. What an honor to be remembered vaguely by the great Turlock Sholmes. This is Mr. Oh, no, my dear madam, hold your tongue. I pride myself on my superior powers of recollection. Your names are safely recorded in my brain addict. Miss Naruhodo and Mr. Susato. Try the other way around, Mr. Sholmes. I lose the first round. Dude, I wish I had just his, like, happy-go-lucky personality. If I had made that mistake, I would have been like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, I feel really bad. I didn't mean to make a mistake. Like, I would be... He's like, oh well. In truth, I had hoped to invite you both to my Baker Street suite the day we arrived in London. But some Scotland Yarders ambushed me at the railway station and whisked me away to a crime scene. It was an entirely trivial case, of course. I solved the matter in no more than 30 minutes. So they apprehended Suzuki-san in that short of an amount of time? I'm afraid the pursuance of a new case has dulled my recollection of the past involvements a little. A little? It is a mistake to think that one's brain addict is elastic walls and can descend to any extent. I do my best to forget useless facts, lest they should evolve out the useful ones. Yes, those are my own words of inimitable wisdom, you know, from an adventure entitled A Study in Scarlet. Please, there's no need to quote yourself. I don't always remember my pearls of wisdom, but fortunately my associate pens them beautifully. He means Iris, I suppose. Mr. Sholmes. We have some extremely important questions to ask you about the trivial case you just mentioned. Goodness, what an earnest expression. My dear madam, I should be only too pleased, and this murky room is an apt place to discuss the murky case. Oh. We know that this to be the lodgings of a Japanese forest student by the name of Saseki Natsumi. It seems that you assisted in his arrest, Mr. Scholz, for the stabbing of a young woman outside here on Briar Road. Natsumi, yes, I believe it was a name rather along those lines. But Mr. Natsumi denies it. Was it really justifiable to arrest him on so little? I'm sorry, Miss Suzato, but I have not the slightest idea what you mean. What? I can't believe he was looking Suzato squarely in the face while feigning ignorance. I assure you, I am not merely feigning ignorance. It would appear as if the pair of you are under some misapprehension. How? I assure you I have no recollection of accusing your stupid compatriot of the crime, but that doesn't make sense. The good detective of Scotland Yard made the following request of me, and I quote verbatim. We need you to ascertain the identity and whereabouts of a man seen fleeing the crime scene. A man seen fleeing? There were a number of books scattered on the pavement at the scene. From the book plates, I was quickly able to determine the bookshop from which they had been purchased. On speaking with the proprietor, I was immediately led to this address. Elementary, wouldn't you say? I believe there is a receipt around here somewhere from the establishment in question. So you don't think Mr. Natsumi is the culprit then? That I could not tell you. But it was aggravating my faculties, hence why I returned here. However, this place is such a trove of fascinating books, I found myself quite lost in bibliophily. Do not be deceived into believing that I am the man of leisure. No, no, no. Oh, dear. Tell me, have you encountered the landlord of these lodgings? Yes, Mr. Garadeb, a retired military man. It was the first time I've met a soldier from the Great British Institution that is in the services. And it was the first I've ever met a maid from the Great British Institute that is service. Ha ha ha. I didn't think it was that funny. I do apologize. As you may well be aware, many houses in London employ a maid. Yes, I read as much in my Great Britain primer. And so conversely, whether or not a household employs a maid has come to betoken the social standings of these houses to those dwelling therein. Betoken their social standing, starry? Put simply, my dear fellow, those who employ at least a single maid are considered middle class. Those who do not are beneath that. The upper echelons of society, of course, households employ enough staff to constitute a large family. Goodness, how extraordinary. As you can appreciate, for those in the precarious boundaries between the middle and lower classes, being able to afford just one maid is of the first importance. I had no idea. And it is for precisely that reason that I find great stimulation in the situation upstairs. Specifically in the retired Army veteran Mr. John Garadeb. Oh? Affable as he is, the fellow is hiding something. Whether or not it imposes on the circumstances of this case, I am as yet unable to ascertain. I'm fairly lost on what he means to say. I'm not. The maid and him are super duper sus. This room is thoroughly suffocating my soul, my dear fellow. I assure you, any man whose lot is to dwell in a place such as this will stab somebody sooner or later. Mr. Natsumi has stabbed no one. Sooner or later, as I said. I don't believe that's the issue here. About this dark little room, Mr. Sholmes. Why is there no longer a window? Do you have any idea? No window? Well, I mean, I can clearly see that there is a window of sorts, but it's been completely blocked with bricks. Ah, I see. The answer to that question is quite simple. Window tax. Window tax? What is that? Surely not a tax on windows. Precisely that. Oh my goodness! Until relatively recently, a tax was levied on households in this country with a number of windows. Those the lesser means, having inherited a sizable and costly family home, perhaps to rapidly close up windows. While the rich open windows here, there, and everywhere. In an effort to curry favor with those in power by furnishing them with a large sums of tax money. How awful and unjust, forcing people to live in rooms devoid of light. Indeed, disease was rife as a result. So some 40 years ago, or thereabouts, the window tax was abolished. This means this is an old residence. But its legacy remains. As you can see, it's squalid lodgings such as these, for example. I suppose Mrs. Natsumi's stipend for living here in London isn't very generous, perhaps. But it appears so. I've done a little digging and discovered that these lodgings were offered at an extraordinarily low price. Because the room is so awful, I should think. Apparently, Mr. Natsumi only moved in here about 1 week ago. Yes, that's correct. However, I don't believe the low rent is explained by the shabby nature of the accommodation. Oh? Still, that is of little relevance here. A matter not worthy of further attention. You sure? I'm curious now. Well, I believe I've told you all I can now. Thank you, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, yes, Mr. Naruhodo. Was it not your intention to become a practitioner of law? I remember that. Will you perhaps be offering your services in this very matter, I wonder, to the occupant of this room, Mr. Natsumi, was it? I'm not sure. Not sure? On what grounds? Well, I actually defended someone in court here only yesterday. Really? Well, then I congratulate you, sir, on an ambition realized so promptly, too. Thing is, it's really made me question things. Am I right to believe in my clients? To trust in their innocence? Yes, trust. Mr. Sholmes. Mr. Natsumi didn't do it, did he? Ah, ha, ha. My dear fellow, I had the first idea. But I thought that's why you were here. Didn't you come back to investigate? Ah, yes, that was indeed my initial intention, but there are simply too many fascinating books here. I couldn't possibly ignore them. I see. Nevertheless, there are two facts that I can say quite unequivocally. The man who fled the scene of the crime 2 days ago was the Japanese occupant of this room, and there are witnesses who swear to having seen the same man commit the crime. That is all I can say. And one more thing. What is it, Mr. Sholmes? Tell us. I cannot say with certainty whether or not it is of relevance to the case, but I am quite sure that the retired army man who owns his property is hiding something. Mr. Garrideb is... Anyway, at present, that is really all that plays on my mind in relation to this case. Mr. Naruhodo, as yet our investigations have uncovered nothing that could help establish Mr. Natsumi's innocence. You're right. It's time we probed a little deeper into Mr. Garrideb's secret. Just remember, I cannot be sure whether the landlord's secret will prove to be of relevance or not. But I wish you every success, of course, Mr. Naruhodo. A busy man indeed. He's gone back to his book in the corner of the room. I believe I've seen all that is of relevance now. You pair again. Tell me, was the detective chap, I forget his name, still hard at work down there? Mr. Herlock Sholmes? Ah, yes, rings a vague bell. All that detective business isn't really my thing, I'm afraid. Well, Mr. Sholmes is in his element down there. Jolly good show. With a cup of tea, if you please, Joan. Now then, why don't you tell me what... Ah! For the umpteenth time when you will watch what you're badly well doing. I shall be serving dinner shortly, sir. Huh? Ah, yes, of course. Frightfully rude of me, but I'm afraid I shall have to ask you to take your leave if you'd be so kind. Yes, of course. We're deeply grateful for all your assistance. No, don't get much chance to talk with the young foreigners like yourselves. It's been a pleasure. Let's look at all that. Perhaps you could see yourselves out. According to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Garrideb is hiding something. No avenues of investigation seem open to us at the moment. Perhaps we should do some digging. Oh. Oh my gosh. Oh, I love Herlock. What's he doing over there? Mr. Sholmes? Aha, we meet again, my dear fellows. Good gracious, when did you sneak in here? Herlock Sholmes, sir, at your service. Whatever you're doing over by the window. Oh, I'm given to watching the evening sky or the sunsets, madam. Yet silent, cheerful as a room downstairs undoubtedly is, it lacks an aperture of such observation. So I took the liberty of borrowing a small corner space by the window up here. Well, keeping an eye on one's windows at dusk is the prudent thing to do in London, I'm gathering. Ah, and one other thing, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, me? That perhaps you might be in need of certain great detectives. Great mind! Wait, he's not talking about it. I didn't expect to be going through that again so soon. Do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? There is a mighty secret in this modest room. My eyes see even the most trivial trifles. Well, yeah, it's this thing over here. I take it you're prepared, Mr. Naruhodo? I think so. There's just time enough for one. My great deductions. Let us conclude the matter before dark. Mr. Garrideb, though it would seem you are a military man of considerably distinguished service, your standing as a landlord is certainly not what one would call first rate. I'm afraid, sir, that it is all too clear to me. There are two conclusions I've been able to draw by careful observation of your living arrangements. I beg your pardon? The first. The first is that even as we speak, you're considered the presence of a ferocious beast in your care. Huh? The second is that as a result of the beast's violent rampage, you have lost something very dear to you. Mr. Naruhodo, look. Old man's broken out in a cold sweat. Unbelievable, these Mr. Sholmes' conclusions are both spot on. How could I possibly know you mean to inquire? The answer couldn't be simpler, sir. For in the dense jungle of logic and reasoning, I am the king of beasts. It is weird that all this stuff is like all over the place. And no two other wild beasts are not easily tamed. So, shall we begin? Once again, Herlock Sholmes are proud to present Logic and Reasoning Spectacular! It certainly shouldn't take a great detective to see that a fearsome beast has been on the rampage of late within these four walls. Thus we are faced with the question, what form might the beast take? For a man with a military breed, your eyes are uncommonly candid. Aye. Your furtive glance, Mr. Gill, leads us directly to the answer. The true nature of the beast that is around Rampadier is with a lion statue. Yes, though an army man, you appear unimposing at best. A fact that has fueled your admiration for the mighty land, the king of beasts. Or is it pitiful, I ask you? In the end, your admiration has become so great, in fact. You had a living, breathing specimen ship from India, which you tried to catch in this very house. What? Living with such a wild beast proved more difficult than you'd imagined. Showing traces of a wild rampage are still very much in evidence. Well, as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself. Where could this angry creature disappear to? Madam? Me? I pray you don't consider me unchivalrous, but it is plain to me with one glance in your direction. It is... A dress pocket gives us a hand clue to the beast's current whereabouts. A protruding from is a handbill by advertising a circus show. Yes, you sought to dispose of this terrifying lion, Mr. Garrideb, at Batty Circus, a traveling show currently sojourning in a nearby park. I have observed the tents. You sold the savage lion, sir, to the circus troupe. I most certainly did not. I believe I made my point. The fearsome beast which ran among the rest was an Indian lion. And a simple visit to the circus now revealed the lion prancing jubilantly through a ring of fire. Now, Mr. Gator, it is plainly clear that you still have deep feelings for this formidable beast. Indeed, in that blissful the distresses the loss has caused you is veritably tangible. Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders, the pain you feel being rewarded by the supporting arm. May it fit your tears of your beloved beast go. The strain of losing so dearly is clearly visible in your visage. Nonsense, man, I simply... But what, you must ask, is the true cause of this pain? I mean, only to follow the direction if you gaze upon the answer. Yes, it is the pile of bills giving rise to your pain you suffer. Every envelope contains another demand for payment. For cartloads of meat, potatoes, wheat, and tea. Indeed, feeding your beloved has had a devastating impact on your financial circumstances of your household. But you had no choice but to let it go. Well, now in a final fit of rage, the ferocious beast carried out one last unimaginable attack. Unimaginable. The aftermath, which can be clearly seen by observing the cupboard over here. There's a floorboard. There's a picture behind the line. Oh, dearie me. What could have caused such a destructive outburst? This time, madam, I'm afraid it is you who has inadvertently revealed the truth to me. You wonder, I settled upon the answer very neatly. Yes, there's when the dives in the carpet. You only need to look at the Tower of Cakes. No creature more dangerous on this earth than a beast with an unsatiated appetite. Was it or was it not the one said by a certain noblewoman that they had no bread to eat cake? Food is at the heart of all the tragedy. In fact, whatever do you mean? I mean, tired of the taste of cake, the beast began to stalk its next prey. I'm sure I need to spell the nature. This final act of destruction carried up with the beast. There's only one logical conclusion. Ordered to a frenzy by hunger, the lion tried to ate the carpet. The teeth marks in the carpet are a perfect match with those of a lion I once saw in India. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this beastly puzzle. Arg! What is the matter with you, Joan? You're pouring scalding hot tea all over me. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Gardev. I'm afraid I didn't notice. My deductions can be startlingly sharp. It stands to reason that your cup runneth over. Indeed, my revelations can make people spill tears at times too. Oh. Mr. Sholmes. Sorry to butt in again, but can I make an observation? Why, certainly, Mr. Naruhodo. What is it? Again? Your deductions just now. You really think a lion could have fit inside a room of this size? Indeed. It is the only explanation for the facts. The terrifying truth all too often lies beyond the realms of common sense. When the idea be to consider what lies inside the realms of common sense as well. If an uncaged lion were to buck in this very room? Well, surely Mr. Garrett and his mate would have been hurt or worse. Oh, that's where you are stuck. You know that the former military man held his own against the beast using the large cannon. I thought you said they sold the lion to the circus. What about the food? Meat and potatoes are one thing. I don't believe I have ever heard of a lion that drinks tea. My dear Mr. Zotto, occurs me with some regularity. Irrespective of race and breeding, whatever, anyone lands on Great British soil, they're infused with a highly appropriate taste for afternoon tea. Oh, what a glorious notion. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, your turn to shine again. I had a feeling that was coming. Slight message. That's all. Massage. That's all Mr. Nolan's introductions need. You can do it. Excellent. I've been waiting for my trusty partner introduction to step forward, Mr. Naruhodo. I don't even know whether or not this is going to help with Mr. Natsumi's case. Still, uncovering the truth is always worthwhile, whatever the motivation. At least, that's what I want to believe. Let us start again from the beginning of Sherlock Holmes' Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. I really didn't see the lion thing coming. No, but if you observe Mr. Gyarados' reaction, it rather seems as though some beast did indeed run amok in this room. Yeah, something with a very fierce nature. Couldn't have been a lion transported from India. What was it then? I must follow Mr. Gyarados' gaze. That leads to the truth. Dude, what if the victim was his, like, daughter? There'd be some Mr. Gyarados' wedding. Very happy, or wife? That's but you can't make out his bride. How unfortunate, something must have struck the glass directly over the woman's face. I wonder what happened. Probably best not to delve too deeply there. These are shells with a cannon, are they? What a strange place to keep them. Imagine they have some significance to Mr. Gyarados from his time in the army. Of course, he mentioned the battle to us before, didn't he? Remember he said he'd been shot in the knee? Perhaps it was one of the... Bro, that's not his knee. There'd be nothing left of it, or Mr. Gyarados for that matter. Sholmes has a Persian slipper. This man has spent shells. Or is it customary for Britain to display rubbish on the mantelpiece? Almost positive. I'm gonna say it's a photographic frame.
Take that!
Almost deliberately hidden from view as a photograph. Have you had to examine it in detail? I can assure you that it holds the answer. What? What? Okay. That's stupid, dude. It's literally right. Well, it's not right, but like... I guess I'm just gonna make the assumption that it's his newly wedded wife. Guess I'll look at the lion. This is the lion statue Mr. Sholmes picked out. Yeah, I wonder. If you did live with a lion, it would prove to be rather a sweet companion. I think that's like a mouse trying to tell its family that the cat around the house is sweet. I suppose it is a bit of a flight of fancy, isn't it? Well, anyway, the beast we're looking for is something else. Alright, I guess we're going with the bride.
Take that!
Alright, whatever. The true nature of the beast that has been rampant here is revealed by that newlywed bride. Precisely, Mr. Naruhodo, no other explanation could possibly fit. Yes, it's framed pictures your wife, Mr. Garrideb. And while we lament the fact that her face is obscured, we can still make out her mighty arms and note the considerable horsepower they must contain. And surely any woman of such powerful constitution would be honored to be described as a beast. Unless this... Wait a second. Wait a second. If this maid is actually the wife, then they might be the witnesses. Truly, the fact remains of the beast, which is so clearly established in this room, was your wife, Mr. Garrideb. Yarg! Couldn't treat as a wild rampage or so very much as evidence. Well, as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself. Where could this angry creature have disappeared to? Madam? Me? You're not consider me unchivalrous, but it's plain to me with one glance in your direction. It is... Man, I'm sad that I screwed that up. I literally had it too. I went with the picture as it is because I didn't want to like make assumptions, but I guess I needed to be specific. Yeah, where's Mrs. Garrideb? Yeah, I wonder where Mr. Garrideb's wife could be. Aha, they are married. Wearing a very large ring. Look, I guess a sunflower design with some rather nice embellishments on the ring finger on her left hand, which means really a wedding ring. Looks like it's on there for life too. I can't imagine it would slide off a finger of that size. Something to think, Mr. Naruhodo, not to say. Do you know Mr. Garrideb's wife in the photograph had a ring very much like this one? Large sunflower design as well. Really? You have a great memory for these things. Large sunflower wedding ring? Quite a coincidence that they have the same ring, isn't it?
Take that!
Your wedding ring gives us the hands and glue out to the beast's current whereabouts. Ah! Indeed it does. That flowery band gleaming on your finger gives you away. Or it is identical to the one shown on the hand of Mrs. Garrideb's bride in this photographic print. In other words, you are no ordinary household maid. No. You are Mr. Garrideb's lucky bride. You are Mrs. Garrideb herself. Oh my word. Well, jolly fine detecting, sir. You right surmise this is the wife. Yes, my Joan. Or let her so go, you might say, but she was a valley coca. Jeepers! You can't just say that, bro. That's rude. You definitely deserve that. You would appear you don't live in the most comfortable circumstances. After all, you're a retired army man, yet you are in the business of renting out rooms. I would assume, therefore, you have insufficient means to employ a maid. Would that be correct? It's not right, I tell you. I was second lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment. A man who has his pride, don't you know? My God, it's a sorry thing that our chap can't even afford to have a single maid in his employ. Yes, here in London, one is rather judged. Household cannot be considered worthy of society if it employs no staff at all. Though in my considered opinion, such concerns about appearances are a folly. Yeah, you mean Mr. Garrideb has his wife work as his maid? Precisely, am I right, Mr. Garrideb? Only in company, obviously, but listen here. This must remain a secret. Tip-top secret, please. Deep feeling, yes. Mrs. Films is quite something to still calling Mr. Garrideb's wife a beast. Yes, as a woman, that feels rather uncomfortable. Mrs. Garrideb is standing beside her husband as we speak. In other words, He hasn't lost his beloved at all, has he? Oh, how true. Perhaps that supporting arm did seem to be propping up his head. Some other significance then. According to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Gyarados' pain is tangible, though. What could that pose really signify? Look at the bright red mark. Gosh, that's quite something, and clearly made by somebody's hand. Yes, Mr. Gyarados has been slapped in the face, it seems hard. I've seen such clearly defined marks. Who could have done such a thing? Well, there's always a reason their faces are half turned.
Take that!
Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders. The pain you feel being revealed by that slapped cheek. Of course, the deliverer of that impressive mark on your cheek that refuses to fade was you, Madam Joanne Gyarados. Well, yes. You've been desperate to hide the slap mark on your cheeks, sir. Ah! Oh, the blazes. How did you work that out, man? Nothing just keeps the nose of one trained in the art of observation, my dear fellow. That's why you haven't looked directly at us even once. Get the other side from view. Now, let us proceed to the next conundrum. Oh, I guess they're already like... Oh, why are we subjected to such a violent slap? In other words, we must ask ourselves what caused Madame Grab to fly into a rage. I need to follow the direction of your gaze to find the answer. There's a pile of bills giving rise to the pain and suffering. Did Mr. Snow say that the bills are all for a line's fodder? Yes, but now we've established that the line never existed. It can only mean that the thing responsible for gobbling up all the food was Mr. Gyarados' wife. Mr. Naro, she's a person, not a thing. Yeah, well, she's also a person who gave her husband a mighty slap around the face. Must have rather left the perfect hand mark, in fact. Yes, why would a woman want to hit her husband with such force, I wonder? I don't know the answer to that question. Let's see, it amounts too great. Yeah. Potatoes with a cartload? Well, looking at the two of them. Tell immediately who eats the lion's share in this household. Well, at least we're no longer talking about an actual line anymore. Someone must be reading this book at the moment. It's a bookmark here. Look. Gyarados is clearly have a reader. Oh, wait a minute. I don't think this is a bookmark. Oh, no, it isn't. It's a note written in a woman's hand. Oh, James, I love you. Yours, Mary. Look at the signature. Lit marks. Oh, what a passionate romantic gesture. Won't get any ideas to saw son. Oh, dear, I'm sorry. Or is it actually a love note then?
Take that!
It is a love note that gives rise to the pain you suffer. Oh, James, I love you. Yours and Mary. Passionate indeed. Perhaps the sender. There's no a certain Miss Mary is the flying woman here. Oh no. And if the name of the victim happens to be Mary, then there is something very interesting going on. You don't know her? And it wasn't written to me. It was just in the book. I don't know how it got there. Just in there, you say? I thought that would have been there. Likely story. Now listen here, Jonah thing. I explained at the time. I bought the book at the second-hand place, and the note must have already been in there. The previous owner of the book was using the note as a bookmark, you mean? So that's what happens. Likely story. Heaven's sake, look at the name. It's written to James. My name, in case you forgot, is John. Likely story. Are you questioning my name now? There we have it. Rouse the suspicions of the female heart and you unleash a beast with the most ferocious bite. Ugh. Now, off at the fray, the ferocious beast carried out one last unimaginable attack. Unimaginable? That time as the witch can be clearly seen by the observing crowd. Oh, she tried to light the house on fire? Holy crap. Oh, dearie me. What could have caused such a destructive outburst? This time, madam, I'm afraid it is you who hasn't really revealed the truth to me. Wonder I settled upon the answer very neatly indeed. And the dire state of the carpet. We need only look at the Tower of Kings. But surely Miss Garrett didn't eat the carpet. No, of course not. Doesn't seem to be any doubt. The state of the disarray that this room is in isn't a result of her wild temper. No, that's true. So this is the last part of Mr. Sholmes' deduction that we need to fix. You can only follow Mrs. Garrett's gaze, and we will find the real answer. Curry has been ripped to shreds, and according to Mr. Sholmes' deduction, the tears have any line's teeth exactly. Oh, look here. What is it? Look closely at the edge, you can see scorch marks. Oh, yes, you can. In that case, perhaps the carpet wasn't eaten in normal sense at all. We think this is mind. I guess I can't do the candle. Like a very old candlestick, doesn't it? The base looks too small. Surely it's very unstable. I mean, like even the slightest knock would make it topple over. Dude, that would be dangerous. Wait, take a closer look at this. Like there's one candle missing. Yes, I didn't notice that before. Why is that, I wonder? Why is one candle of the 3 missing from its holder?
Take that!
Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we need only look at the candlestick. Most illuminating, my dear fellow, and of course, the only possible way out of this logical labyrinth. Yes, the remnants of a ferocious attack in which the carpet was devoured are clearly visible. Indeed they are. The scorch marks at the edge clearly given to the truth away. Scorch marks? It appeared that this room was the scene of a little martial altercation. Mr. Garrett has mighty arms and muscles left under pressure, not only on her husband's face, on the entire room. The force of her strike caused a candle to fall from the holder. And in seconds, the carpet was lit, and the whole corner of the room in flames. The most ferocious beast in this world is neither a violent lion nor a vengeful woman, but fire. And in this room, that ferocious beast bared his claws and ran amok. Eloquently put, my dear fellow. So you see, there is but one conclusion here. After the sparks and marks which just flew, this room was the scene of a fire. Show him, sir. I salute you. Dang. We just killed him? I hope not. It's though these dashed long winter nights, you know, nothing to do but read in front of the fire. Luckily, there's a jolly good second-hand bookshop just around the corner. Buy all my old novels there. And in the pages of one particular novel, you discovered some rather illicit material. Of course, your wife admonished you harshly, it seems. I don't know about admonish, demolish might be rather closer to the mark. And Beast is most certainly an absolute Man, she really hates him right now. The carpet was at destroyed by fire when a candle fell on the floor. Afraid to say it was. Happened in the blink of an eye, you know. Whole place filled with smoke. Couldn't see a bally thing. I was caught between the old sticks raging the raging flames. You paint a torrid picture, sir. One that would have been most entertaining. I had sympathy for you. Didn't take long for the fire to spread across the valley for her to start going up as well. We had to hide the mess behind the screen for the time being. Over here, Mr. Gyarados? Well, you have nothing more to hide now, if you allow me. Oh, yeah. One of my favorite old novels in that case, but as soon as the fire got hold of them, that was it. Whoosh, up in smokes. Gosh. And why I started hurling things at me. What a terrible sight it must have been. There's that back up against the window, under heavy enemy fire. Incendiary books are coming dungeons of the dozen. Worst of it, I lost my favorite book called The Lion's Pride. Lion's Pride. Ah, yes. Your notorious love of big cats coming through again. I assure you the title didn't influence my choice in the slightest. Or Henry really did lose something dear to him as a result of the ferocious beast rampage. Visual deductions turned out to be correct once again. It can only be described as a great British wonder. I tell you, it was total carnage. Flames everywhere and the old stick in full fettle. Out of interest, what time of the day was that? That's what I can remember. It was 2 days ago now. Let's see, around 5 o'clock, I think. Exactly at the same time as a terrifying incident was inflamed outside your window on the street below. Even more terrifying on the inside, I can assure you. Oh, Blighty could have been flattened outside my window at that moment. I wouldn't have noticed a dash thing. Really? Mr. Sholmes. Yes, Mr. Naruhodo. What can I do for you? I think we've got to the bottom of this Gyarados situation now, but what does it have to do with Mr. Natsumi's circumstances? Can't help you there, I'm afraid. What? My dear fellow, if you recall, I did say as much from the onset. I warned at all I knew the retired Iron Man was hiding something. I cannot be sure whether his secret will prove relevant or not. I just knew you were going to say that. Ha 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 ha. And now, Miss Naruhodo, you mustn't lose heart. Bear in mind that all things fall into one or two categories. Those relevant to the case and those not. That makes no sense to me. Well, no matter. It is of far greater importance that you make up your mind now. Sorry? Visiting hours at the prison will soon be over. Oh no. Is it that time already? We're to accept Mr. Natsumi's case. We have official paperwork to attend to. No more time to think. Perhaps I'd like to take yourself to bidding us farewell now. I must prepare supper for Mr. Gyarados. Oh, yes, I'm so sorry. Thank you both very much for your time. Seki-san will be waiting for us. I'm going to have to give him an answer. Miserable sight. Oh, dear. This whole room was engulfed in flames. I suppose so, but my whole collection went up in smokes, you know. All those novels I adored so much. Well, John, whose fault is that? Not mine, that's for sure. Well, whoever may or may not be to blame. Right, so you can buy some new old books to replace them, can't you? New old books. Probably nonsense. It's not like a contradiction in terms. And these two are full of contradictions. That's couples for you, Mr. Naruhodo. Or so I've been led to believe. If the room was on fire... If the room was on fire at that time, that might give us a clue. It may not be helpful directly, but indirectly. It's time, Mr. Naruhodo. We must hurry back to the prison. Yes, I know. Let's hail a Oh. What's the matter? Looks like something's going on over there in front of the Gyarados house. Huh? I know thee not, old man. Fall to thy prayers. Who are you calling, old man? You're rolling a nibbity-bitty. Oh, are these the witnesses? Are there more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of you in your positive? What was it, Horatio, fellow? What are you on about? Excuse me. Hey, what the? Who are you now? I am sorry. It just looked as though there might be some problem here. My associate here, Mr. Inosuke Naruhodo, is a lawyer, you see. Hey, a lawyer? What? I'd be with some assistance, I'd be happy to help. I'm from Japan, but I have studied English law. Fine, I'll be on my way for today, but you mark my words. This ain't over yet. Get thee to a nunnery. Do I look like a bloomin' nun to you? I do hope you're not injured. Oh, fair Eastern maiden, thou art so gentle, thank you. What was that all about? There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt in your philosophy. I'm not Horatio either. Forgive the inquiry, sir, but are you a lodger here in the Garrett residence? Oh, fair Eastern maiden, thou art so right. Yes, I do dwell in this humble abode. Mr. Garrett mentioned he had another lodger, didn't he? Supposed to be the man. Do you happen to know the other lodger who lives on the first floor? Ah, yes, a gentleman named Natsumi. No, but worthy a polemist in my battle of words ne'er could there be. Sorry, battle, did you say? Who is the stronger, Hamlet or Macbeth? Mr. Natsumi and I sparred long into the night. I see. I don't fully understand, but it seems Mr. Natsumi and the gentleman are acquaintances at least. So, fair maiden, so good gentlemen. I can tarry no longer. Fare thee well. He's a witness, 100%. I didn't really understand him, but I think he's returned to his room. He's unaware of what's happened to Mr. Natsumi, so he can't really help us. So Seki-san and that man as lodgers, the Garrett house is certainly full of eccentrics. Anyway, I'll go find a carriage. Yes, I'm sure Mr. Natsumi is eagerly waiting our return. So we can get to the prison before visiting hours are over. Oh, it's you. You're here. You came. Locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. I can't believe you came back. I'm so touched. We're so sorry I kept you waiting, Mr. Natsumi. Oh, no, think nothing of it. Relax. If I were a cat, I would purr with pleasure at the company of such fine compatriots. Noble, nurturing, never failing liberties! Oh, no, let's not get carried away. Oh, I quite agree. There's nothing more reassuring than the familiarity of one's native land. On the other hand, it's through friendship transcending international borders that one truly appreciates the fact. Which is my belief, at least. It's you! Miserable, rotten spy, Sherlock Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing here? I have no intention of doing anything per se. Save observing, of course. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? Well, having encountered some curious reading material in that gloomful room, having unmasked the secret identity of that eccentric pair, I decided I should drop in on my way home to see how our divested friend is faring. Gloomful room. At least your accommodation here offers a window, my dear fellow. In that sense, it is the superior option. Anyway, I must commend you on your taste in books. My day has been a delight and cost me not a penny. Are you? How dare you? Sherlock Sholmes. Ugh. I've had it. I'm through. I'm at the end of my rope. And never coming to Great Britain. It was a terrible mistake. Haunted by spirits and those accursed lodgings. I doubt my luck will be cursed in tomorrow's trial as well. My whole life is bedamned. Bedamned. What are you thinking, Mr. Naruhodo? You mentioned that once before, didn't he? That his lodgings were cursed, I mean? There's much truth in Mr. Mustache's words. What? Curse is a wholly appropriate description, I would say. The man's lodgings, and indeed for the tomorrow's trial. What's that supposed to mean? Oh man. Sad song, but beautiful. Mr. Natsumi, what do you mean by what you just said now about the trial tomorrow being cursed? Why are you looking so grave? You're making me nervous. I was just getting carried away, that's all. I didn't mean anything by it. I see. This agitated him. You don't mean the trial is cursed? Are you referring to the prosecutor, the Reaper of the Bailey? The Reaper? Oh no, what do you mean? Please tell me. Summarize the 16 salient words. No defendant has survived a trial in which the Reaper stands for the prosecution, ever. Oh my goodness, can it really be true? That was 60 words exactly. Yesterday, Mr. Naruhodo successfully defended someone against the Reaper, but then, after the trial was over, the defendant passed away in unusual circumstances. Mr. McGilded. What? Why are we telling them this? Ah, I'm impressed, Mrs. R. You have an eye for detail. The Lord Chief Justice told us. Mr. Sholmes, surely it can't be that having failed to have the accused convicted, Lord Van Zeeks killed the man himself. No, it couldn't have, surely. You had some wonderful notions. Sorry. The man isn't a mass murderer. He's a court prosecutor, my dear fellow. Yes. Of course he is. Of course he is. Then why are you trying to scare me? It could be said, however, that the real truth about the man is even more terrifying than your hypothesis. What on earth do you mean by that? Van Zeeks is quite an exceptional man. However, in London courts of law, exceptional does not equate to winning every case without exception. That's good. So he sounds like he's going to cry tears of joy. As you are no doubt aware, in a British criminal trial, there is a judge and a jury. The judge officiates based on the letter of the law, whilst the jury offers public opinion and common sense. It is an excellent system whereby the defendant's guilt is considered from several points of view. However, public opinion in particular is easily manipulated, right? Criminals and corrupt lawyers, for that matter, can use it to their advantage. By any means at their disposal, contriving evidence, calling imposters as witnesses, and so on. By such underhand means, those who would want to are able to sway the jury, which means that even in the light of irrefutable evidence, the prosecution can fail. It means the wrong verdict can be passed. And sadly is, from time to time, my dear madam, it is simply the reality of the situation. And that's alright. However, those indicted by Lord Van Zeeks cannot escape justice. Their fate is sealed. Oh my. Though the adjudication may see them leave the courtroom with their freedom, within months they all disappear. It is most striking. Disappear, but how? By all manner of misfortunes, sir. Perhaps they are trampled under a passing carriage. Perhaps they fall into Thames and drown. Perhaps they are suddenly overcome by raging fever. Perhaps attacked by highwaymen. Oh no, no, no. All examples of the reality events here in London, I'm afraid, Mr. Naruhodo. Huh. I knew it. I'm dead. Dodo. Done for. Doomed. When you said accursed lodgings before, you were referring to your room at Mr. Garrett's house, I assume. Do you mean to say you believe the place is cursed? It's been a year now since I came to Great Britain. But I'd only been in London a week before I started to know strange feelings in myself. That didn't take long then. Everywhere I looked, there were foreign faces staring at me, laughing behind my back. I was sure people were talking about me. I started to become nervous about going outside. They're always staring at me, like all the time, from dawn till dusk. So I shut myself away in my room, but even that didn't help. The fear wouldn't go away. It must have been very lonely having been away from your homeland for such a long time. I had to move a number of times, most recently to the room on Briar Road a week ago now. Yes, why did you choose there? It seemed a little inconvenient. Rent is cheap, and I have little money. Appealed to me straight away. Of course, I asked why it was so affordable. Landlord just simpered and said, the room is cursed. Oops. He quickly tried to cover his mistake, but it was too late, so I told him. He had something to say, then say it. But if not, don't mention it in the first place. Yeah, said. Well said. It was true. It was all true. You mean, the room's cursed, then? There was other movement in that windowless hellhole. My sleep has been plagued with nightmares. I awake feeling as though I'm being choked to death. In my waking hours, people were standing in front of me as I walked down the street. I'm branded a killer, thrown in prison. Nobody wants to know me. I'm surrounded by scary sinister spirits. But there was someone, just one person on my side. And no one finding his or her heart to believe in me? Really no one at all? Believe, yes, to believe. Mr. Sholmes? Ah, me, Mr. Naruhodo. Play, what can I do you for? It's about the case on the SS Buria, if you recall. The Buria. The Buria. Ah, that case. The one with the snake. Well, yeah, at that time I was a suspect, but you believed in me and listened to my side of the story. And you helped me to investigate, or helped us. I did I? Interesting. What I want to know is, why did you believe in me? I see, yes, you mean... because you were a grimly dressed, shady Eastern fellow found with the victim in a locked room? Well, if you like, yes. I'm a little surprised that the answer requires explanation, my dear fellow. It's quite simple, really. You said I didn't do it. But I could have been lying. Surely you must have had your doubts. You must have suspected me a little. I think perhaps you have misunderstood. I neither recall believing in you, nor in that which you were telling me. Huh? You see, the only things I believe in are those I choose to believe in. What? What do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? I make up my own mind about what is to be believed and what is not. If I should like to believe in something, I do. Circumstances can hang as far as I am concerned. I could have betrayed your trust. Ha ha ha. In that case, I should have made an elementary error of judgment, nothing more. Betrayal of trust is an overused excuse in my opinion. Meaning, whether or not one should trust another is the final analysis down to oneself. It is a matter of whether or not one can trust oneself. Yes, he's right. He's right, the locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Whether or not I can believe myself. A defense lawyer is only as good as his faith in his client. And that comes down to how much faith he has in himself. You're so right, Kazuma. Well, my dear fellows, it is time we were leaving, I believe. Already? Visiting hours are over. The guard will be here shortly to escort us out. There's a restaurant near here that serves excellent trout. Would you care to join me? Oh dear, there's never enough time, is there? Mr. Natsumi, if you'd like, in the trial tomorrow, I'd be happy to represent you. Welcome, student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. As I said, I only experienced a British courtroom for the first time yesterday. And although the man I was representing was found not guilty, I lost sight of something crucial. Something crucial? What to believe in, the defendant, justice, or the truth? How to believe, even. But I think I finally worked it out. I've decided I must believe in myself above all else, to trust my instincts. Yes, Mr. Naruhodo. And my instincts are telling me that you, Mr. Natsumi, are innocent of this crime. And it's imperative that we prove that in the court. Welcome, student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. I will fight for your innocence until the bitter end, with every weapon available to me. Pretty much, Johan. So I hope you permit me to represent you tomorrow. As I said when we first met, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who will listen to me in my native tongue. Of course, Mr. Natsumi. It'd be fair to say, Mr. Naruhodo, that your mind was, in many ways, made up from the outset. You merely needed the events of today to fully realize it. Yes, I think you're right about that. It's been a roundabout journey, but I got there in the end. Miss Susato, yes? Would you be willing to stand by my side tomorrow and help me in court? Absolutely. As I said this morning, you may consider me your personal judicial assistant. Saseki's a bit much, but in an endearing kind of way. Shocking events of yesterday's trial still weigh heavily on my mind, but it's time to stop looking backwards. Kazuma believed in me. Mr. Sholmes believes in me too. It's time. Time that I learned to believe in myself. Saseki-san has no one. He's all alone. It's my job to help him, to fight at his corner. Tomorrow in the courtroom with all the strength I can muster. An investigation mostly filled with narrative, but certainly not a bad thing. Well, what's going to happen? Can we defend to get a not guilty verdict? Will something crazy happen in the meantime? Is that couple really not involved in the case? Who are the witnesses? It said a husband and wife. What about those two random folks we encountered at the end of this chapter? Some very interesting things going on. We'll have to find out next time on Great Ace Attorney 1. Thank you guys so much for watching. And I will see you next time. Have a good night, everybody.